disaster in decades. Rescuers searched through the rubble of destroyed buildings where areas have been flattened where once buildings and urban areas stood. This is the city of Adani after a 7.8 magnitude earthquake rocked the swaths of Turkey. Death toll is likely to rise. Rescue workers are trying their best to look through these mounds of wreckage in cities and towns to find out survivors. First moment of the deadly earthquake. Look closely. It's a CCTV footage from a shop captures the movement when a killer earthquake struck. Items in the shop can be seen falling on the floor. It was a high magnitude earthquake and within seconds, the area was destroyed. But it's not just Turkey. Adjacent Syria also witnessed a widespread damage after the earthquake. Buildings in an already war-ravaged country collapsed, trapping hundreds of people under the debris. Rescue operations are underway in full swing to hunt for survivors, as many as possible. Countries from around the world, including India, are sending aid to Turkey. India has sent NDRF teams, medical experts, relief material. The European Union has also sent more than 10 urban search and rescue teams to help in this rescue operation. An absolute horror there right now in the country and the world coming forward to help. Imagine the death toll and the time also running out for the survivors. And with that, it's a wrap on this bulletin for now. Thank you so much for watching. Take care and always tune into indiatoday.in for the latest. Thank you for watching The First Time.
Shah Rukh Khan's Pathan has been rocking at the movie theatres. It is in fact being touted as the best action movie of recent times. But is it true? What does the Tech Today community think about it? Are the tech sequences worth watching the movie in the movie theatre, or will the Tech Today community wait to watch it on OTT? Let's try and find out. Where will it be, in the cinema theatre or on OTT?
Cinemas. SRK in cinemas.
Movie theatre. OTT.
Will you be watching it in an IMAX or in a regular theatre?
IMAX for sure.
Yeah, that is really have a great VFX, and even John Abraham also, I like him, and Shah Rukh Khan especially.
I have heard a lot about it, how it has a parallel from a Christopher Nolan ka movie, and the technologies that they've used is same, so I want to explore that.
Not interested in watching in a movie theatre.
Is there any reason why you're averse to going to a movie theatre?
I feel more relaxed watching it at home.
Yes, if it releases in Amazon or Netflix, otherwise not.
Actually, we went to the cinema hall yesterday. I almost wanted to watch it, but my wife said we'll watch it on OTT.
Mr. G, what I do want you to do, since we are at this iconic facility, if you could just tell us what's happening around us, because there's so much movement, you can just give us a rough idea. How do these 55 acres of this facility, how does it operate, and how do you manage to make it efficient and truly scale up the volumes and increase business via this facility?
Yeah, this is only one factory. As I told you, we have two factories. This is not the surprising issue. This is only one factory.
Yeah.
In this factory, we are producing refrigerator about 2 million sets per year. Only this factory. And then RAC about 1 million sets. And then washing machine front loader also we are producing here almost 6 lakh quantity, and also TV also. So this is one of the general production sites of LG India here. So now most of them is we are digesting in local domestic market. So that's why we say India has a most potential country of global.
These are all good things to hear, Mr. G. But lastly, just one thing I want to understand is, when you consider LG's India business and you compare it to markets around the world, how does it rank compared to far more developed markets?
No. Maybe it will be very surprised if you heard what I'm saying is, India is world ranking number 2. India business size of LG India, right after USA market.
Okay.
Globally, USA ranking number 1, India ranking number 2. Others, number 3, we have very big gap with
Wow.
number 3. That's why we LG also have a very proud of business with India here.
And we hope that you do visit the Pune facility more and come and visit us in the Tech Today studio in Mumbai.
Yeah.
And maybe we'll show you around and you can tell us a little bit more about your gadgets.
Why not? Thank you.
Absolutely,
I'm just waiting
Mr. G.
for you.
Thanks so
inviting
much for
me.
joining us on
Thank
Tech
you very
Today.
much. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Driven by, at Hyundai we are going beyond mobility.
Good morning and welcome. Thank you for tuning into India Today. I'm Pooja Shali. Let's quickly begin first with the headlines. On the top of first up, Adani storm is refusing to rage on. 3 sessions have already been disrupted of the parliament. Opposition is demanding a debate. 90s Bollywood hit has become a political taunt. Congress asking, "Hum Adani ke hain kaun?" Nirmala Sitharaman says Congress is spreading poison. HAL political crossfire escalating. Opposition's HAL Rafale claims fall flat. 4 years later, the Prime Minister says chopper unit is a slap on the HAL liars. This is an India Today exclusive. All newsmakers on India Today first. Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman opening up on taxes says, may reconsider 30% tax slab. Could it be a mid-course income tax cut in the offing? A face-off over the Madras High Court judge appointment after Victoria Gowri elevated as the High Court judge. Lawyers are approaching the Supreme Court with an urgent plea to be heard today. Days after a tri-services drill, balloon sighted over Andaman in January. Eerie similarities to the Chinese balloon. All right, we have shocking news coming in from Rajasthan. It appears that a Hindu outfit member has been shot dead in a busy street of Udaipur. Police are suspecting right now in this, however, a property dispute behind the murder. But in Udaipur, this is in a busy evening. A Bajrang Dal member was shot dead on Monday night. The accused was so smart that they fired bullets when a wedding procession was passing. So the sound of bullets could be suppressed. The deceased, by the name of Raju, was having a dispute with history sheeter Dilip Nath over a land in the Kalivas village. Take a look at the shocking incident that has taken place. Shot dead in a busy street in evening. And that when a wedding procession was passing by, so the gunshots could be suppressed. Udaipur, remember, is a grim reminder of the murder of a tailor also that had taken place. And that was over the comment that was made and the incident that happened last year. But back in the news this time for another murder, because that beheading was also done on a busy street. And yet this time, this is a Bajrang Dal member who has been shot dead. We are being told that according to police, prima facie, it appears to be a property dispute with history sheeter Dilip Nath over land in the Kalivas village. But look at the manner in which he was killed. So not many people could realize just in time when a wedding procession with, of course, sounds and dance and dhol were passing by. That's when he was shot dead. So we'll try and get you an update of what exactly happened. But this is where the law and order issues are going to be questioned about how, whatever be the reason for someone to be shot dead in the middle of the street. Let me now bring in my colleague Jay Kishan for the latest on that. Jay Kishan, what exactly happened? Because this appears to be raising a lot of questions on the manner in which any accused thinks they can shoot a people dead on the road. All right, it's a developing story. I'll continue to get you details on other news as well. The Adani storm is raging in the parliament, and it is the opposition which is gunning for the government at the centre, but Prime Minister Narendra Modi in specific. This, remember, is with regard to the stocks and that are consistently falling, the market that's still not stabilising for the Adani group. And stepping up attack on Modi government, Congress has stormed the parliament. Workers have hit the streets also. Finance Minister Sitaraman, in turn, has slammed the Congress party for always spreading hate and spitting poison. Hitting out at Prime Minister Modi, Rahul Gandhi had said Prime Minister will do his best to avert a discussion on the Adani issue in Parliament, asserting that the country should know what power is behind the billionaire businessman. Also adding here, the Congress has been asking, remember, for a debate on the Adani controversy. This is apart from the JPC or a Supreme Court monitored probe. But there have already been 3 days of disruptions on the Adani issue. Parliament could begin a discussion on the motion of thanks on the President's address. So India today decided to put questions to the ministers in the government as well. Minister Smriti Irani spoke to senior executive editor of Aaj Tak, Anjana Kashyap. Here's what the Mantri said.
ये तमाम बातें अगर आपको बतानी है तो क्या हम सदन में चर्चा सुनेंगे? देखिए, विपक्ष ये कहता है कि जब भी वो नोटिस देते हैं उसको ऑनर नहीं किया जाता है, सरकार चर्चा नहीं चाहती है।
आप अगर चाहते हैं कि मैं स्पीकर के अधिकार का हनन करूं, वो तो संभव नहीं है। लेकिन भारतीय जनता पार्टी की कार्यकर्ता होने के नाते मैं क्या, मेरी पार्टी ने हमेशा बार बार कहा है कि आप करिए ना चर्चा करने में और तथ्यों के साथ चर्चा करने में, और सिर्फ हंगामा खड़ा करने के लिए बिना चर्चा के, उन दोनों में बहुत अंतर है।
वो इस बात पर अड़े हैं कि आप अडानी मामले की जांच के लिए जेपीसी बनाइए, तभी हम चर्चा।
मैं वही तो कह रही हूँ,
इसमें हिचक क्या है?
मैं यही तो कह रही हूँ, एक कि मैं स्पीकर के अधिकार का हनन नहीं कर सकती, दूसरा मैं पार्लियामेंट्री अफेयर्स मिनिस्टर के भी अधिकार का हनन नहीं कर सकती। लेकिन सबसे प्रमुख मुद्दा ये कि बाकी सारे मुद्दे जिस पे जो चर्चा करना है, सब चर्चा करने को तैयार हैं। पार्लियामेंट्री अफेयर्स मिनिस्टर बार बार बोल चुके हैं। सबसे पहले चर्चा की शुरुआत कहाँ से हो रही है? राष्ट्रपति जी के अभिभाषण के लिए हमें एज अ पार्लियामेंट, एज लोकसभा राज्यसभा आभार व्यक्त करना है। ये सत्य है कि कांग्रेस के कई नेताओं ने कई अपशब्द कहे, अपमानजनक कई बातें कही वर्तमान महामहिम राष्ट्रपति जी के लिए, लेकिन उन्होंने अभिभाषण में भारत की जो रूपरेखा रखी और भविष्य की जो कल्पना की, आप उनको वोट ऑफ थैंक्स भी नहीं देने दोगे कि नहीं हम राष्ट्रपति का सम्मान नहीं करेंगे, पहले हमारा सुनो? ये संभव है क्या
कि जेपीसी बना के आगे बढ़े?
मैं वही कह रही हूँ कि हमारे पार्लियामेंट्री अफेयर्स मिनिस्टर ने बता दिया कि चर्चाएं सारी, आप राष्ट्रपति जी के अभिभाषण से तो शुरू कीजिए भाई। क्या आप क्यों अपने देश के महामहिम राष्ट्रपति का आभार नहीं व्यक्त करना चाहेंगे? पार्लियामेंट की ये जिम्मेदारी है और जनता की अपेक्षा है। और मैं तो कहती हूँ अंजना जी, हमारे लोकतंत्र में पहली बार गणतंत्र में आदिवासी समाज की एक महिला का इतना बड़ा सम्मान हुआ है। हमारे गणतंत्र का ये बहुत बड़ा, मुझे लगता है, अचीवमेंट है, और हम उनके अभिभाषण के लिए आभार व्यक्त नहीं करने दे रहे हैं कांग्रेस के लोग।
लेकिन दूसरी तरफ एक प्रश्न बाजार की भी तरफ से है कि ये अडानी वाले मामले में क्या हमारे रेगुलेटर्स,
आप तो आज तक की प्रतिनिधि हैं, बाजार की प्रतिनिधि कब से हो गए?
प्रोएक्टिव, वो क्योंकि उसमें इन्वेस्टर्स का पैसा है, जिन्होंने एलआईसी में, एसबीआई में इन्वेस्ट किया है, उनका ये प्रश्न है कि क्या हमारे रेगुलेटर्स को ज़्यादा प्रोएक्टिव होना चाहिए, ताकि अगर विदेशी कोई, जो कि हिंडनबर्ग खुद ही यूएस जस्टिस डिपार्टमेंट उनकी जांच कर रहा है, लेकिन हम वल्नरेबल दिख रहे हैं कि कोई ऐसी विदेशी रिपोर्ट आती है और हमारे बाजार में ब्लडबाथ शुरू हो जाता है।
देखिए, चित भी मेरी पट भी मेरी है कि जिन जिन लोगों को जवाब देना चाहिए था, एलआईसी के मुखिया, एसबीआई के मुखिया और आरबीआई ने स्टेटमेंट दिया है। फाइनेंस सेक्रेटरी से पूछा गया, उन्होंने अपना स्टेटमेंट दिया है। मैं किसी कंपनी की बात नहीं कर रही हूँ, मैं रेगुलेटर की भी बात नहीं कर रही हूँ, मैं इंस्टीट्यूशंस की बात कर रही हूँ। इंस्टीट्यूशंस ने अपना मत सार्वजनिक किया है। क्या आप उस इंस्टीट्यूशन पर इसलिए कलंक लगाना चाहते हैं क्योंकि वो आपकी राजनीति को सूट करता है? ये विपक्ष के लोगों को जवाब देना पड़ेगा। सत्य है कि आप कहेंगे हमको बीजेपी पे या पॉलिटिशियन पे टिप्पणी करनी है। आप कब से इंस्टीट्यूशन के महत्व को इरोड कर रहे हैं? और ये क्या पहली बार किया है? इससे पहले उनके टारगेट में इलेक्शन कमीशन था। This is not the first time they've tried to destroy an institution in India. और मुझे लगता है वो मुद्दा निश्चित रूप से बनना चाहिए।
सेबी जांच कर रही है या नहीं, क्योंकि निर्मला जी भी जब भी सामने आई उन्होंने कहा कि जो एक्सपोजर है वो विद इन रेंज है।
मैं दोबारा कह रही हूँ, LIC, SBI जिनका आप कहते हैं एक्सपोजर है, RBI जो हमारी मॉनेटरी फिजिकल पॉलिसी के ऊपर जिसका ऊपर दायित्व है, जो एपॉलिटिकल है, वो सब अपना वक्तव्य दे चुके हैं। अब आप इस भूमि पर मुझसे कह रहे हैं कि महिला बाल विकास मंत्री अपने दायित्व का निर्वहन ना करे, लेकिन ये बताए कि सेबी क्या करेगी। इसीलिए कह रही हूं, दिस इज एन अटैक ऑन सर्टन इंस्टीट्यूशंस विच आर द वेरी फल्क्रम ऑफ गवर्नेंस इन आवर कंट्री, विच आर एपॉलिटिकल। और कहीं ना कहीं, और ये पहली इंस्टीट्यूशन नहीं है जिस पे प्रहार कर रहे हैं विपक्ष के लोग। क्या विपक्ष के लोग ये कह रहे हैं कि उनको इलेक्शन कमीशन के ऊपर तो प्रहार कर चुके हैं, RBI पे विश्वास नहीं है? और ये बड़ा मसला है अंजना जी। जब मोदी जी ने बार बार कहा कि मुझसे बैर है, मुझसे लड़ो, राष्ट्र की धरा से, राष्ट्र की संपत्ति से, राष्ट्र की इंस्टीट्यूशंस को कलंकित मत करो।
Right, so India today ensuring that the power to be also is questioned over these controversies. Let's bring in now India Today's Supriya Bhardwaj for the latest on that. Supriya, clearly as we have been talking every morning, there's been a disruption in the parliament. You've been getting us reactions from the opposition parties as well that you cover. What is the strategy today? Is the Congress today also going to be all guns blazing, demand a discussion?
Well, Pooja, as far as Congress party is concerned, yesterday also the Congress party leaders have maintained that they want a discussion in both the houses of the parliament. But there were certain parties which were not interested, and they said they will go all out and they will be protesting. And Congress, according to sources, doesn't want to play as a big brother. They want to take everybody along with them. And that's why the leaders from 16 opposition parties decided that they will be protesting, and yesterday we saw the protest inside as well as outside the parliament on the issue of as to how and what is going to happen as far as the investments of those in LIC and that the money which has been kept by people who are the account holders in SBI is concerned. Well, as far as the Congress party is concerned, today morning at 10 a.m. again a meeting has been called by leader of opposition Mr. Mallikarjun Kharge, but the sources are indicating that the Congress along with its like-minded parties will actually go ahead and press for a full-fledged discussion and debate as far as vote of thanks is concerned. The House will function, and in that very during the vote of thanks they will be actually going out and asking the questions related to the Adani group issue as well as that of China, unemployment and price rise. So far we have a little idea as to who will be the speakers from the Congress side, because what we are hearing is that today morning around 10 a.m. only it will be decided as to who all are going to represent the Congress party in that entire day-long discussion. But one thing is for sure, that what we are expecting is that there can be some disruption when the House starts, but when 12 o'clock onwards the debate and the discussion on the vote of thanks from President's address is going to start. At that time the Congress party is going to participate along with other opposition like-minded parties.
And till now, within minutes, Supriya, there have been adjournments through the day. So we'll have to see what happens today itself. But Congress will still be leading the campaign against the Modi government over the Adani controversy. We have some big news coming in. Let's take a look at that. Congress Member of Parliament has written to the market regulator over the fluctuations in the market over the Adani crisis and the stocks that have been falling since the past few days. Member of Parliament Manish Tiwari has written to SEBI over Adani and has said, I quote Manish Tiwari here, Adani stocks impacted the market. Make SEBI investigate these findings and make it public as well. SEBI, remember, has already put forth a procedure to be examining and investigating this controversy over the Adani crisis. Remember, one by one, whether it's Adani Enterprise, Energy, Ports, their stocks have been falling and the market has not yet stabilized for the Adani group. Let's quickly bring in my colleague Rahul Gautam for the latest on that. Rahul, so apart from the Congress in the Parliament out on the streets, it is the Member of Parliament also writing letter to the SEBI. What exactly has Manish Tiwari written in the letter? Give us details.
Well, the Congress MP from Punjab, Mr. Manish Tiwari, has written a letter to SEBI chairperson seeking investigation into the allegations that were labelled in the Hindenburg report against Adani. In fact, Mr. Tiwari said that it is imperative upon government to restore the confidence of domestic and foreign investors into the capital market, given the fact that there are fluctuations happening, and because of the instability happening, all because of Adani crisis, the market regulator must look into the allegations. In fact, he also said that this is going to be a litmus test as far as India's oversight mechanism is concerned, as far as capital markets is concerned. So you rightly pointed out that the Congress party is upping the ante, not just outside on the streets, but inside the
It's a triple front attack on the streets, in the parliament, writing letters to the SEBI. Congress is all guns blazing this time against the Modi government, and they're saying now, as via Manish Tiwari, that SEBI needs to immediately investigate the Adani crisis and also make the findings public. So while, of course, this is a very serious political showdown and also impact on the market too, but the jibes by the Congress party took a filmy turn. Congress decided to snap at the Modi government and say, Adani aapke hai kaun? Of course, in reference to the popular 90s blockbuster, Hum aapke hai kaun? So here's exactly what happened, how this filmy taunt and a jibe against Modi government made it to the political corridors.
और के बारे में सोचने की फुर्सत किसे है? आपसे। सिर्फ आपसे ही तो हम ये गुस्ताखी कर सकते हैं।
क्यों? हम आपके हैं कौन?
What does this Rajshri blockbuster have to do with today's biggest political and financial story?
कह दूं? प्रेम बेटा?
In a country where politics and cinema mix more often than not, the first shot was fired by Rahul Gandhi's media man, Jairam Ramesh, where he repurposed the blockbuster film's title to question the Prime Minister on the Adani affair.
And yet SBI did.
Only hours later, the filmy metaphor echoed at the very top, with Finance Minister Nirmala invoking the film in a separate context.
Ages ago, this particular film had come. I can't even recollect its name, and it was suffused with the culture of a particular area and its culture. But every Indian enjoyed it. Even that India which is in South, which says, I am sorry, we can't understand Hindi, enjoyed that film. Why? It showed positiveness.
There's a saying in English that fools rush.
To which our global business editor Udayan Mukherjee interjected with this comment.
Aapke hai kaun is something which it seemed Gautam Adani was trying to ask the government when he stood in front of the flag and said it's an attack on India. But you did not answer that question, Mrs. Sitaraman.
Jairam Ramesh is saying, Adani aapke hai kaun? That's the opposite.
With the Salman Madhuri starrer now fully established at the currency of this conversation, the finance minister engaged.
I am referring to that film because of the angularities which I am seeing, saying common people liked it because of this. But if that's the DNA there, even a good Hum aapke hai kaun can be twisted to defense, also from the point of view of...
But it wasn't all film and frolic on the opposition's attack on the Modi government. The finance minister wasn't kidding when she issued this counter-strike on Team Rahul for his acidic attacks.
The year before that. I want leaderships, irrespective of the party they belong to tell people there's hope and I will do better and so on, rather than decry everything. And with that toxic language. And it is this set of people who speak that toxic language who claim they are having pyar ka dukan.
It turned out to be a high voltage Monday for Team Modi's warfare against Rahul Gandhi.
The tongue-in-cheek way in which reforms in India are being treated because it's being done by Modi and not being done by Congress. I don't want to get into that because it's all right, it's entertaining for a few minutes. I'm calling it Amritkal for myself, it's for all of us. You don't want something to be good for India? No, it's negative. I'm afraid of leaderships which only project everything in the negative light.
यही HAL है जिसे बहाना बनाकर हमारी सरकार पर तरह तरह के झूठे आरोप लगाए गए।
तब वो चुनावी बजट नहीं था, मगर इस साल वो चुनावी बजट।
As always, newsmakers of the moment dropped their biggest takes on India Today and its platforms. And with the sardonic swipes going viral, expect the Congress to regroup for a fresh attack hours from now. A big election year looms ahead, so sit back, relax, and maybe grab some popcorn. Bureau Report, India Today.
With the recent budget presented, is there a possibility that the top tax rate for individuals can be reduced to 25% from the 30% that's been mentioned? We asked this question to Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman. Business Today Television's managing editor Siddharth Zarabi asked if this is a possibility that the government is looking at. Interestingly, there was no confirmation, but there was also no denial. Here's what the minister said.
The question I want to ask you is about the philosophy behind sweetening the new tax regime. Some people would definitely know that you made an attempt in 2020. It's not something that you decided to do in pre-election year. It didn't work. You have now improved upon the scheme. There are some people who are saying that it will end up, and that may not be your intention, disincentivizing savings, because we have been used over decades of using ATC and other exemptions. What is your own view about why was this change needed, and is it true that you want people to spend more and save less as the charge is leveled by some?
No, not really. I couldn't have anticipated that in 2023 I need to have people spend more and therefore bring it in 2020 itself and so on. No. It was brought in, the new tax regime was brought in because we wanted a more simplified, easy to comply, and above all have a reasonably low rate of tax to pay. And that particularly for that set of people who are in the low and middle class income band. And that couldn't have been done in one go. We wanted to come into it steadily. That is why even today we've retained the old exemption-rich old tax regime, whilst bringing and making it more attractive. Not only just bringing it 2 years ago, the new tax regime, but making it attractive by giving greater easy compliance, and also for those slabs which belong and to which majority of the Indian middle class belong to, with better favorable tax slabs. So it was brought in because of that. We didn't shut down the old tax regime because there are still people using it. And I'm not forcing anybody to come into the new tax regime, but certainly I like to make it more and more attractive so that people find merit in coming into a system which is lots more simpler.
Ma'am, a quick follow-up. Between the 20% and 30% slab, if you are up till 15 lakh, you are at 20. The moment you cross that, you go to 30. Corporate India is at 25%. The question people are asking, why isn't PIT the same as CIT, corporate tax rate of 25%? Why have you retained 30 still?
Interesting. Let me work on it next time.
You will work on this next time?
I'll try to say I'll work, but I'm not promising anything.
No, but this is an idea that appeals to you, Finance Minister?
As I said, simpler and more attractive new regime. It can start and end at every stage of it.
So the Finance Ministry will consider in the months to come
I'm not saying
a reduction in personal income tax from 30% to 25%.
I'm not saying that.
It will be applauded very loudly.
No, I don't want applause. I have to work.
PDP's Mehbooba Mufti says Jammu and Kashmir is turning into like Afghanistan. PDP chief Mehbooba Mufti was addressing a press conference and gave a remark that today Kashmir will be looking more like Afghanistan, and she's referring to the sufferings that people in Afghanistan are currently facing. Jammu and Kashmir is like Afghanistan. Mufti has said because of dozers, because of the bulldozers and the eviction drive right now that's taking place across Jammu and Kashmir, it feels like it is Afghanistan. Everyone has been brought under the poverty line. So the inflation, the problems that people of Afghanistan under the Taliban are facing, PDP chief Mehbooba Mufti says this is Jammu Kashmir is beginning to look more like Afghanistan right now. So that's the statement that she had given while she was addressing a press conference in the national capital, Delhi, and comparing Jammu and Kashmir right now to the Taliban brutalities and the restrictions that have been put forth in Afghanistan. Listen in to what she said.
जम्मू कश्मीर में अपने ही लोगों को अपनी ज़मीनों से निकाला जा रहा है ये कह के कि ये एंटी एनक्रोचमेंट ड्राइव है। एंटी एनक्रोचमेंट ड्राइव नहीं है। पहले तो हम सोचते थे कि जो इस्राइल करता है फ़लस्तीन के साथ, शायद बीजेपी ने वहीं से सबक सीखा है। अब तो लगता है वो भी नहीं है, तो उससे भी आगे चला गया है। ये तो फ़लस्तीन से लेके अब अफगानिस्तान बनाना चाहते हैं जम्मू कश्मीर को।
Let's bring in my colleague Ashutosh Mishra for the latest on that. Ashutosh, there is presently an eviction drive taking place of all illegal encroachments that's taken place. But what I found very interesting were her choice of comparisons. It was Israel, it was Taliban. What exactly did she say? And if anything else also she had said in that press conference. Over to you, Ashutosh.
Well, Pooja, yesterday when we received the message that Mehbooba Mufti will be addressing a press conference all the way here in the national capital, North Srinagar, so that already sparked that there is something really bigger that is going to happen. But what we have seen in the same context, that very early morning, the similar statement was made by Umar Abdullah, though he did not compare with Palestine or Afghanistan. But he, raises question on the demolition drive, anti-encroachment drive. And similarly, the same issue that Mehbooba Mufti raised, that the way anti-encroachment drive is being carried out in Jammu and Kashmir, people are being made homeless. There is somewhere it is between going to be a poor versus rich fight being triggered by the BJP, and comparing to that extent, calling it that how BJP's, this politics is making it Kashmir look into Palestine and Afghanistan. So this kind of bizarre statement that was made by, but remember, there is very much expectations of assembly polls in Jammu and Kashmir, and this is also how the political parties are taking it to a major issue.
This is an attempt to stay relevant, and it's one side, of course, of speaking for the people, as she's attempting to say, but to compare the current situation to Taliban Afghanistan, to Israel and Palestine, clearly that references are interestingly chosen by Mehbooba Mufti. Ashutosh Mishra with the latest on that. Ashutosh, thank you very much. Prime Minister Modi had decided and had inaugurated the manufacturing factory for choppers, where it can be more now indigenous repair and manufacture of the choppers for the country. But there was also a political attack at the Congress party. This was primarily with regard to attacking Rahul Gandhi for his comment about the Hindustan Aeronautics Limited. Now remember, Asia's biggest manufacturing factory has been set up. Prime Minister was in Karnataka. That's where the inauguration happened. Here's more on it.
Remember Rahul Gandhi's disastrous 2019 war cry?
उन्होंने राफेल का भ्रष्टाचार किया, चोरी की। 30,000 करोड़ रुपए चोरी हुए हैं। नरेंद्र मोदी जी ने 30,000 रुपए अनिल अंबानी को दिए। फ्रांस का राष्ट्रपति ने कहा है।
And his repeated attack, alleging Prime Minister Modi had cheated HAL out of the Rafale fighter jet deal.
राफेल घोटाले में 30,000 करोड़ रुपए हिंदुस्तान के एयरफोर्स से चोरी करके नरेंद्र मोदी जी ने अनिल अंबानी के बैंक अकाउंट में जेब में डाला है।
The electorate rejected Rahul's rallying roar with contempt in 2019. But on Monday, 4 years after that disastrous campaign, Rahul found himself under target from the Prime Minister himself.
यही HAL है जिसे बहाना बनाकर हमारी सरकार पर तरह तरह के झूठे आरोप लगाए गए। झूठ कितना ही बड़ा क्यों न हो, कितनी ही बार बोला जाता हो, कितने ही बड़े लोगों से बोला जाता हो, एक न एक दिन वो सच के सामने हारता ही है।
Modi was on site near Bengaluru to inaugurate HAL's new giant helicopter factory and decided there was no better podium from which to finally counter Rahul directly.
यही HAL है जिसका नाम लेकर लोगों को भड़काने की साजिश रची गई, लोगों को उकसाया गया, पार्लियामेंट के घंटे से घंटे तबाह कर दिए।
But the Congress party is having none of it. Rahul Gandhi's media manager Jairam Ramesh has not only countered by calling the PM a liar, but reviving the same allegations from 2019 that were debunked, denied by HAL's leadership, and proven to be technically ill-informed.
After 4 years, Mr. Modi has got up and now he waked up and is praising about HAL. Therefore, the credit to save HAL, the credit to stand with HAL goes to Mr. Rahul Gandhi, who has exposed Mr. Modi.
Failure on the part of the UPA government at that time, which was known for its indecision, that they couldn't resolve the issues that were there between HAL and Dassault. And therefore, because of their inefficiency, incapacity, HAL had to suffer 20,000 crores, if I remember correctly, has been allocated to enhance its production capacity for the LCAs. So this has been done under the Modi government.
If Rahul Gandhi's campaign against the Modi government's Rafale deal was ineffectual in 2019, it has also failed to make the government skittish talking about the Rafale. No less than the finance minister spoke about the Rafale fleet on India Today on Monday.
Just look at the way in which Rafale, all the aircrafts landed in India per the time of the contract. Look at the way in which many of the things which are being made for defense is made in India. Those procurements are also for enhancing their abilities.
While the political crossfire escalates over HAL, looming elections in Karnataka will ensure it remains a talking point. But hard data is difficult to ignore. In the time since the Rahul Congress levelled allegations of HAL being cheated and neglected, the company has received orders worth billions of dollars for 83 Tejas fighters, 70 HTT-40 basic trainers, 12 light utility helicopters and 15 light combat helicopters, in addition to healthy numbers of its other products. With a big election year ahead, expect politics to take flight and soar. Bureau Report, India Today.
All right, time for a quick commercial break. But when I return, I take you to Tamil Nadu because there's a big face-off over an elevation of a lawyer to a judge to the Madras High Court. But what exactly happened? This is unprecedented. Victoria Gowri was elevated as a High Court judge, but the lawyers and a section of lawyers are approaching the Supreme Court with an urgent plea against her. Let's bring you the details of that.
A newbie in the world of financial intelligence. Based in New York and named after the German airship that blew up in 1937. Hindenburg has smacked the net worth of Gautam Adani, Asia's richest man till Monday. India Today, the country's first network to locate the short seller's registered address in the United States. 631W, 207th Street, New York.
This clearly looks like a residential premises and not a commercial one. We came here hoping that if this is the address, the office of Hindenburg Research, we might be able to talk to Mr. Anderson and get some comment, some response from him on the report that he published last week on his website.
Launched in 2017 by this man, Nathan Anderson, a Connecticut native, formerly a data company worker. Hindenburg shot to limelight in 2020. That was when its accusations of fraud against an American electric truck maker led to its founder's conviction in the US.
There is no way of ensuring right now or verifying for that moment that Mr. Anderson is actually in this premise or he lives here or he comes here. So this attempt at clearly reaching out to him has not gone as intended. In the meantime, we are constantly trying to contact him through social media, through the email ID registered on Hindenburg Research's website. But so far, we've not got a response from him.
Hindenburg's reputation has grown as a bloodhound for financial wrongdoing. The short seller has issued critical reports on various companies and startups. leading to a drastic fall in their stock value in the past. The Adani Group has rejected Hindenburg claims about it as baseless and a calculated attack on India.
At this point of time, it's important to understand from Mr. Anderson what more he can add to substantiate all that he has mentioned in this report. This is Rahul Gandhi for TV Today from New York City, New York.
Traveling from different parts.
Armed with facts,
Looking at political back.
she takes the news by its horns.
Do you think the future of these students are not hampered?
Fierce, bold and direct, setting the tone for the biggest stories from every corner and every angle. Expect nothing but the unfiltered truth.
News first, niceties later. Watch me, Nabila Jamal, on India Today.
Decompression is important. De-stressing is essential, and we can't just stress this enough. The best way is shorter trips, domestic and international both. And the options are many and rather very exciting.
Maldives is constrained for 4 nights in a hotel, but Sri Lanka's experiences, whether you have the commercials to spend or whether you don't have commercials to spend. Sri Lanka offers you Dil Se Sri Lanka, and it also offers you beach, adventure, good food, and a connect for Indian. And I think anywhere where Indians go, they want to be connected by heart because we are raised on emotional values than anything else. So Sri Lankans understand that, and we perform that really well.
Add to that the trend of sustainability in tourism and how the consumer today is very discerning about responsible travel.
Sri Lanka is actually automatically sustainable. I mean, it's fairly low energy. The higher end resorts are, they understand that this is what the discerning tourist is looking for, and increasingly sustainability is coming and is there. I mean, the country is naturally sort of low carbon. We can save certain amounts by the way that we fly, and we're all doing that. Mangroves, I think, absorb maybe 12 times the carbon that a normal forest does. Seagrass is more like 36 times. So, blue carbon is a really important subject, and where we are, we're an island, tropical island. It's an obvious kind of thing to do. So those are the things that we're working on.
One big trend amidst the discerning traveler is the fact that the Indian traveler is more a traveler rather than just tourist.
Indians predominantly are becoming travelers to tourists. We were tourists all this while, but we are changing to become travelers. And tourists is which they go by recommendations of travel agents. But travelers are the ones who know what they want, but they still want assistance from a travel company to make their trip flawless. And they don't worry about a lot of money and bucks over there, because true depth of a vacation is also felt when you do things differently and not with the itinerary.
Sustainable tourism helps create jobs, and the location benefits by your travel by means of how you understand and contribute to the preservation efforts of the location's cultural history, wildlife preservation initiatives, reduction of carbon emissions, restoration of landscape and water bodies, and so much more. The discerning traveller today understands this, and the trend is palpable. For India's neighbouring country, an island that has just come out of a tough couple of months, Sri Lanka, the doors are again wide open. In New Delhi, Chaiti Narula for India Today.
And unprecedented and a big showdown has taken place over the elevation of a judge in the Madras High Court. The Supreme Court will now be hearing a plea challenging Victoria Gowri's appointment as a lawyer to a judge now as in the High Court. Now, the oath is going to take place at 10:30 a.m. The top court of this country will likely hear the plea at about 9:15 a.m. The Supreme Court is likely to hear this urgent petition challenging the oath ceremony of Advocate L.C. Victoria Gowri as the judge of Madras High Court around 9:15 a.m. Now remember, she's to be sworn as an additional judge along with 4 others inside the library room of MHC. But there's been a section of lawyers who have challenged her elevation as the judge of the Madras High Court. Let's quickly bring in our legal correspondent Anisha Mathur for the latest on that. Anisha, help me understand that this is a collegium that decides, and there must have been certain merit behind the elevation as well as a judge. Who are objecting to her elevation? Why? And how has the matter reached the top court? What are we expecting? Anisha.
Well, this is a unique case in the history of our country now, where the collegium has now, going by what the Chief Justice said in open court yesterday, the collegium was only apprised of certain facts relating to Ms. Victoria Gowri's conduct after the recommendation had already been sent. Now, remember, the entire controversy in this case hinges on the fact that she had given certain media interviews, media statements, and which indicate her attitude, so to speak, towards certain communities. In addition, she has also been an office bearer of a BJP unit. Therefore, the allegations that are being raised by Madras lawyers against her are that she will not be completely free and fair, that she would be violating Article 15 of the Constitution, which is the right, which is that she may discriminate against certain communities.
So an allegation that she may not be free and fair in her judgment, and that the manner in which she'll have to hear all sorts of cases. Stay on with me, Anisha. Let's go across now to Tamil Nadu as well, because in Chennai, joining me India Today, Shilpa Nair for the latest. Shilpa, does she have her share of support also coming in? What is happening on the ground? Has she given out any statements, spoken up? And what are we really getting to the fore about what's happening at the Madras High Court? Shilpa.
Well, Pooja, ever since the controversy about her appointment as a Madras High Court judge broke out, she's been very silent. In fact, several media interviews that she had given previously, all of that either have been deleted or have been made private. So clearly, she's keeping silent. She doesn't want to speak to the media. We've been trying multiple times to reach out to her as well. But as far as Victoria Gowri is concerned, 22 judges belonging to the Madras High Court had written to the President of India and also the Supreme Court Collegium. They, of course, cited examples of how she harbored antipathy towards minorities. These were the words that these lawyers had used in their letter to the President and the Collegium. They showed examples where she was made see, she was, making very controversial remarks against the Christian community, against the minorities of the country. And they, of course, said that she's unfit to be a judge. But like you said, there is also support for her from certain quarters. In fact, as a counter to that letter, around 50 judges from the Madurai bench of the Madras High Court were practicing there. They had also written to the President and the Collegium, citing that there have been several appointees in the past who've had political affiliations who were later appointed as judges. So there is nothing wrong in Victoria Gowri's appointment, is what they have said.
This is absolutely unique, as our reporters are telling us. A lawyer gets elevated to become a judge of the Madras High Court, and then the matter matter reaches the Supreme Court. There is a section of lawyers that do not want her to become the judge. They are alleging a sort of bias that she may be holding because of the statement that she has made. But clearly there would be merit also that has been considered for the reason that she's become a judge. Anisha Mathur and Shilpa Nair will be tracking the latest. Anisha will be in the court. Shilpa will be in Chennai to tell us all the latest on that. Thank you very much right now on that. So what exactly happened? The appointment of a judge in the Madras High Court, Victoria Gowri, became a huge showdown. Suddenly, there were lawyers who started to speak up and have now reached and have put a petition even in the top court of the country. LC Victoria Gowri is slated to swear in today as an additional judge of the Madras High Court at 10:30 a.m. But just before that, Supreme Court bench of Justices Sanjeev Khanna and M.M. Sundaresh is set to hear the petition challenging her elevation at 9:15 a.m. The centre notified the appointment as an additional judge, and it's led to a legal fight of lawyers and that of the Madras High Court. They do not want her to be elevated. The matter came up for hearing before the top court on Monday. CJI confirmed. The Chief Justice of India confirmed that the collegium had recommended her elevation and have taken cognizance of the developments also. The Supreme Court will hear the case today, but ever since the news, of course, there has been a political slugfest, also reactions on both sides with the criticism against her, and the support for her has also been pouring in. Listen in to some of those reactions.
Mrs. Victoria Gowri has been appointed as the judge by the collegium on the basis of her merit. She has been a good lawyer, but what to do? These people, Congress people, these Congis have become Italians. So they cannot tolerate a Sanghi. Sanghi means a patriot. That is all.
It is very shocking that Government of India has appointed Lakshmana Gowri, Victoria Gowri as the High Court judge. Since when she is facing so many opposition, and a case is pending before the Supreme Court, and tomorrow is the final hearing is to be taken place. Since she is the leader of the BJP, even though she is a lawyer, she is the BJP women's wing leader, and she has various occasions she has expressed her view against the constitution, against the secular sentiment of the people.
Rahul Gandhi has gone all scathing against Yogi Adityanath, the Uttar Pradesh Chief Minister. Here's what Rahul Gandhi has said. Rahul Gandhi is calling Yogi Adityanath a common thug. He's saying that he's indulging in adharm, but that's not all. Rahul Gandhi has launched this attack on Yogi Adityanath, saying it's the Bharatiya Janata Party indulging in adharm in Uttar Pradesh, but has called Yogi Adityanath specifically a common thug, a gunda. Yogi is not a religious leader, says Rahul Gandhi, but a thug. Rahul Gandhi has added that what he's been doing in Uttar Pradesh is not dharm, it is adharm. It is the opposite of doing a religious duty. That's what Rahul Gandhi has said, and we'll quickly listen in to what he said. But this is big news. Remember, this is not about attacking the BJP or even Yogi Adityanath. But he has said he is a thug, a common thug, referring to a common thief, a common gunda on the roads of Uttar Pradesh. That's what he has said for Uttar Pradesh Chief Minister. This is likely to become a huge political showdown very soon. We'll try and get you more reactions as well. The BJP will most likely hit right away at the Congress party, but this is a strong statement that has come from Rahul Gandhi against Yogi Adityanath. There has been a stunning development. It has come to fore that a mystery balloon hovered over Andaman and Nicobar Islands around the tri-service military drill on 6 January 2022. Pictures being shared by the local residents on social media show an eerie similarity with the Chinese spy balloon that recently floated over the US skies and was later shot down. But the size, shape, use of that non-transparent material, the solar panels, are very similar to how the balloon was seen over the United States America skies. Here's a report.
A cinematic closure to a suspected spy saga.
Wednesday, when I was briefed on the balloon, I ordered the Pentagon to shoot it down on Wednesday as soon as possible.
An air-to-air missile from the F-22s downed a Chinese balloon hovering up to 60,000 feet above the South Carolina coast in the United States. If you thought it was one of its kind of intrusions in the age of satellites and drones, brace up for a shock. Rewind to January 6th, 2022. Location, Port Blair, India. A craft with eerie similarities caught the attention of locals on the Andaman and Nicobar Islands. Its pictures depicted features seen on the Chinese balloon this year, from their shape, material, solar panels bearing extraordinary resemblance, and the backdrop of the sighting wasn't less intriguing. It came barely 15 days after India held a multi-domain exercise of our Air Force, Army, Navy and the Coast Guard, a drill designed to validate India's rapid response capability in the event of enemy threats to the eastern islands. Remember, Andaman and Nicobar houses India's only tri-service command. This official footage shows elite military assets participating in a network-centric environment. Days later, this balloon came loitering over Port Blair. In the case of the United States, the Pentagon was quick to identify the telltale signs of surveillance the Chinese balloon carried.
It is a surveillance balloon, right? So there is a surveillance capability underneath this large balloon, right? So look at a blimp has a basket, right? So there's a basket underneath it in layman's terms. So again, large enough to be concerning if there were a debris field.
The US took immediate measures to safeguard sensitive information.
As we mentioned in our statement last night, once the balloon was detected, we acted immediately to protect against the collection of sensitive information, and I'll just leave it at that.
In case of the incident over the Andamans, there's still no official word on the mystery balloon detected on January 2022. With Ankit Kumar for India Today.
With that, I'm wrapping up the first up for now, but thank you so much for watching. Always stay tuned to indiatoday.in for all the latest. Thank you. Have a great day.
The only woman designer to have ever showcased at Paris Couture Week. She did that last year. This year, she did it off calendar amidst many other designers. Abyss. Her collection was deeply inspired by what lies under the vastness of the ocean. As a diver, she loves exploring the colors in the beautiful world that lies under the ocean. And while her showcased collection may outwardly have reflected that, at a quote-unquote deeper level, it was all about rediscovery of the inner self. Art meets couture has always been at the core of Vaishali's creations, and the flow of the outfit is very similar to the way the water exists. Hand weaves by Indian artisans, coding techniques, choice of sustainable fabrics, and Indian heritage at the core of what she creates. The world has taken notice of how sustainable her creations are. She herself wore one of her outfits in a typical Indian hue with her sculptural technique. It was a dress for the Western world, and for Indians, it was a twist to our heritage saris with the drape coming over her shoulder. Teamed with vintage Indian jewelry and tin cans, very interestingly used in villages, made fashionable as bags, a showcase of Indian art and craft got pulled off by Vaishali in her work. Interestingly, Vaishali Shadangule has never showcased at FDCI India Couture Week, and she does hope to do that very, very soon.
I want viewers around the world to know this, and consumers rather around the world to know this, that when you're picking up a piece from a designer, whether it is you, whether it is, you know, some of the other stalwarts coming in from India who are also doing some fabulous work, and it's stunning, right? they need to understand the story that goes behind each and every one of these pieces, because how many brands today can stand up and say, number one, we're completely sustainable?
Designers, they have really big role to play to, I think, educate, and whatever they are selling, the story behind that piece, you know, it should be there very transparently.
While all her work is sustainable, she takes that beyond fashion into social impact, storytelling, and art. In fact, a flagship store in Mumbai stands testimony to sustainable decor. In Mumbai, Chaiti Narula for India Today. The fast fashion industry is one of the biggest and most significant contributors to pollution globally. The extremely detrimental impact of fast fashion waste on the environment has been known for a while. According to earth.org, the fast fashion industry contributes to nearly 10% of global carbon emissions. Millions of clothes end up in landfills every day. While none of this is news, the debate on sustainability is an interesting one. Some of the senior members of this industry are extremely aware and sustainable and making an effort towards it.
If you are taking care of the people who are making the garments, who are weaving it, and then back end they are using the natural fiber to create the fabric, so they are not using plastics or polyesters, but they are using the green cotton and using that to create the fabric. Then I'm using those fabric, handloom fabric, to make fashionable garments. So ultimately it is sustaining the whole chain of the cycle. Even after usage, if it goes back to the earth, it disintegrates and turns into manure. So all these things are very much there, which I am very much supporting and doing from the beginning of my career. And I think that is what my bit can be.
Pranav Kirti, who owns a fashion label with a strong social commentary, has a rather interesting view. His philosophy is buy more as it contributes to employment in India.
Our dialogue and our narration of the entire story, that you buy less. I'm not going to do anything about it. I'm just going to preach and you buy less. I think I have a little bit of a conflict over there. I feel as creative intellectuals and as industry stakeholders, it is our responsibility to make better. So buy as much as you want, but then it's our houses which have to produce better. By just buying less, nothing is going to be so remarkably impactful in the West. But over here, people are going to lose their jobs, and it's literally going to come down to their livelihoods. So we as entrepreneurs and as leaders have to provide better avenues for their income and as well as for our customers so that they have better options in the market.
So is our Indian concept of sustainability borrowed? Yes and no.
Like in the previous years, like maybe 100, 200 years before, our country was so much more sustainable in terms of, You know, the way we used to have our cooking and food, our textiles, everything was having a certain meaning. How it should be going this much only and then it will return back to the earth. So because of the fast life and so much of, in the name of progression, we have kind of actually gone backwards.
By QO, European bath lounges. Let time wait. Cello vacuum steel flask.
Death, destruction in Turkey, but amid all that rubble and debris are also miracles of few survivors. Rescue operations are currently on, and at this moment, India has sent out a hand of friendship, ensuring that we are sending medical equipment and rescue teams to help the survivors. That and more in India's agenda here on India Today. I'm Pooja Shali. Let's begin first with the headlines. Adani storm is raging. 3 sessions have already been disrupted. Opposition is still demanding a debate. Interestingly, amid this political slugfest, 90s Bollywood blockbuster has become a political taunt. Congress party is asking government at the centre, "Hum Adani ke hain kaun?" Nirmala Sitharaman says Congress is spreading poison. HAL political crossfire has escalated. Opposition's HAL Rafale claims has fallen flat. 4 years later, Prime Minister Modi says this chopper unit at a manufacturing factory is a slap on the HAL liars. All newsmakers first on India Today. This with an India Today exclusive coming up as Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman opens up on taxes, says could reconsider 30% tax slab. Are we looking at a mid-course income tax cut in offing? Remember, if that happens, you heard it first on India Today. This is a unique face-off over the Madras High Court judge appointment. After Victoria Gowri was elevated as the High Court judge, lawyers have approached the Supreme Court with an urgent plea. The plea will be heard just before the oath ceremony of the judge. Disturbing numbers coming in from Turkey. About 4,000 people have lost their life after the 3 devastating earthquakes and aftershocks. Thousands of buildings reduced to rubble. Streets have been flattened. 3 earthquakes in 24 hours, 4,000 people dead in Turkey and Syria. Here. Disturbing images coming in from Turkey. We are talking about 4,000 people at least who have lost their life in the devastating earthquake. And at this point, as India has also sent its medical equipment and rescue teams to ensure and try as many survivors as can be found. It's an international humanitarian crisis. While these rescue operations are underway, it's not just about horror. Look closely. These are also about miracles of those few survivors. It's a miraculous rescue that was caught on camera. Trapped local residents, children who were pulled out from under the debris. Look at how areas, urban areas once, cities flattened within seconds. 3 devastating earthquakes, including aftershocks in just 24 hours. And while all of this is horror, we are talking about 4,000 people at least dead. The numbers only likely to increase. The time for survivors is also running out. But amid all this, there is hope. There is miracle because rescue personnel are ensuring that they can try to bring out as many survivors as possible. And I want to play out those images again of that child who has been brought out just in time. We don't have information whether other family members of these children were also able to be brought out. But what a miracle for this little young child. For more than 24 hours was caught under that debris. but they have been brought out, and there are more images slowly and steadily emerging in our hopes and prayers with the people of Turkey and Syria at this hour, where the rescue personnel are trying their best to bring out the survivors, as many. Remember, it's also a winter season at this point, and there are high-rise buildings that were reduced to rubble within seconds. So of course visuals are disturbing, and of course we want to give a trigger warning to our viewers as well. But this, remember, is also about Turkey, which has been an active zone of earthquake. The areas that you're looking at were industrial manufacturing hubs once, but today the streets completely flattened. For Syria, remember, it's already a war-ravaged country, and now earthquakes one by one. But amid all this, there is hope that some would be able to survive.
Çocuk çıktı. Çocuk çıktı.
3 devastating earthquakes, including aftershocks in just one day. There are some images that are now coming in as updates from Turkey. Let's take a look at that one by one. Let's begin. Look at this first image. Rescue operations are underway in Turkey. And this, remember, after a 7.8 magnitude earthquake had hit. The death toll is expected to rise. Rescue operations are on. They're searching in this mound of wreckage, remember, to try and find. These were cities and towns once, now completely flattened. This is the city of Adani. These are the first moments of the deadly earthquake that rocked Turkey. And the rescuers are searching for more rubble amid this as well. Look closely. This, remember, are the first moments of that earthquake rocking Turkey. CCTV footage of a shop captures that moment when this killer earthquake literally struck the country. Items in the shop are seen falling, shaking, and this was when that high magnitude earthquake struck. Not just Turkey, but neighboring Syria, already a war-ravaged country, has also now faced this collapse from the earthquake. Buildings were seen tumbling down. Rescue operations are underway in full swing to hunt for the survivors. And at this international moment of tragedy, countries are offering help. India has sent out NDRF teams, medical equipment and experts, relief material, dog squad. European Union has also sent more than 10 urban search and rescue teams to help in the rescue operations. Our prayers for the people in Turkey and Syria. So here's what happened. We're talking about at least 4,000 people who have lost their life. It's a freezing winter weather already, remember, which is adding to the plight of thousands who are now homeless or injured. Hampering effort by survivors is also on. A magnitude of 7.8 on the Richter scale. It's a very high number. It brought down high-rise apartment blocks and buildings. And this already for countries that have faced devastation, for example, Syria. But amid all this, look at that hope of one man being brought out from that rubble. In Turkey, the death toll has been standing at about 2,316 lives lost. 1,444 people were killed in Syria, so about 4,000 in total. United Nations is mobilizing support, emergency services. Several nations, including India, have already sent out relief to assist Turkey and Syria at this point. India has dispatched first batch of its relief material to Turkey, apart from the NDRF search and rescue team. It includes a highly skilled dog squads, an array of medical supplies and experts, advanced drilling equipment to drill through this wreckage to find out survivors or even mortal remains. Apart from this, other crucial tools that could be required for the aid effort. India standing by Turkey at this hour, but look at the devastation. An urban, flourishing area once gone within seconds.
Based on the inputs, lot of casualties have occurred. So the government of India, as a measure of HADR, that is the humanitarian assistance and disaster relief operations that we do, the government has taken a decision to send 2 teams of NDRF to Turkey to help us in conducting the rescue and relief operations.
टीम की जहाँ तक बात है तो 47 आदमी एक टीम में होते हैं. अपार्ट फ्रॉम दैट 3 सीनियर ऑफिसर्स भी इसके साथ जा रहे हैं. यही कंपोजिशन है.
मेडिसिन्स और बाकी क्या क्या रिलीफ के लिए भेजा जा रहा है?
और रिलीफ मटेरियल अलग से जो गवर्नमेंट ऑफ इंडिया प्रोवाइड करेगी वो जाएगा, लेकिन फिलहाल अभी तो सिर्फ रेस्क्यू एंड रिस्पांस के लिए ये टीम यहाँ से मूव कर रही है।
कितनी टीमें सर यहाँ से मूव करेंगी?
अभी पहली टीम यहाँ से अभी अबाउट टू मूव है, हम जाने वाले हैं यहाँ से, और इसके बाद मॉर्निंग में दूसरी टीम एनडीआरएफ की मूव करेगी।
Convey my deep sadness about the devastating earthquakes in Turkey and Syria. I extend my condolences to the families of the victims. The United Nations is mobilizing to support the emergency response, and so let's work together in solidarity to assist all those hit by this disaster, many of whom were already in dire need of humanitarian aid.
This is clearly on search and rescue. It's injuries that need to be treated, first aid response of communities on the ground, and then more specialized trauma care in hospitals. While we have severe weather on the ground, it's freezing cold, it's cold temperatures, so the risk for infectious disease, apart from the immediate risk for trauma and injuries, is definitely increasing as we go along. Also, as some of the critical supply lines, water and sanitation, will be compromised.
The Department of State is in close contact with our Turkish allies and our humanitarian partners, and our initial assistance response is already underway. We are determined to provide any and all assistance to help those affected by these earthquakes. Secretary Blinken just got off the phone with his counterpart, Foreign Minister Çavuşoğlu of Turkey, to reiterate the same message. And we stand in solidarity with our allies, our partners, and the people of Turkey and Syria affected by these terrible events.
Joining me on the phone line now is the India Today's Foreign Affairs editor, Geeta Mohan. Geeta, 24 hours ago when we had broken this earthquake in Turkey and Syria, we were talking about crumbling buildings. The death toll within one day has reached 4,000 at least. What are you picking up about the details coming in from Turkey and Syria? And also tell us about India's aid and consignment that has been sent to help out the administration and help track the survivors. Geeta.
Well, Pooja, your second question first. India has been focused on providing immediate rescue and medical supplies, which means that the first batch of the earthquake relief material has already left for Turkey, and which also includes not just NDRF search and rescue teams, it also includes trained dog squads, medical supplies, drilling machines, which were critical to getting through the rubble of these buildings that have fallen, collapsed, and medical supplies are very important because of the lack of it, given that so many people are now in hospital and in dire need of medical aid. Necessary equipment for, again, rescue operations also being sent, all this under the humanitarian assistance and disaster relief, something that Prime Minister Modi has been talking about for a while, on how the world should come together to fight or to tackle disasters, particularly calamities and natural disasters. So, Pooja, the first batch has already left, and there would be many more such batches that India would be sending to Turkey as also to Syria. For now, this is the first batch that is left for Turkey, which has suffered massive devastation. In terms of the administration, for now, we are given to understand that the Turkish President Recep Erdogan has actually announced 7 days of mourning for the loss of lives. So huge, the way the administration and the world is reacting to the earthquake and the disaster goes to show the magnitude. And while we
amid all this, while we are bringing, of course, these are disturbing, horrifying images. Earthquake can take place anywhere in the world. But, you know, these little moments, Geeta, of that one child being rescued or a man being brought out alive, this is where that hope lies. And perhaps this also is reflective of how people need to ensure that time is running out, isn't it, for the survivors? And there is hope and miracle amid the tears too.
Absolutely. But because the devastation is so huge, they need immediate international support. which is coming their way, given that too many buildings have collapsed, Pooja, to get them, to rescue people out of those buildings, those collapsed structures, is going to be a time-consuming effort. And therefore, it's not just equipment that are being sent. Rescue teams are also being sent from various countries, India included. So this right now is not just a concern for Turkey. It is an international, a global concern. And global leaders are coming together to ensure that that as many lives as possible should be saved from the rubble, from the devastation that Turkey and Syria are facing right now.
Geeta Mohan with the latest joining us. Geeta, just stay on with me because we have these visuals coming in. One side on that, just moments caught on CCTV when the building started to shake. Then we are looking at some of the rescue operations, children specifically who have been able to be brought out alive. That is 24 hours after those 3 earthquakes that took place. And amid this rescue, of course, there are tears as well of people who have lost their loved ones, people on social media sharing that they haven't been able to connect with their family members, some confirming the death of their relatives as well. 4,000 people, remember, right now is the death toll in Turkey and Syria combined. India has sent out consignments, but it's also the winter season. So if even those who are injured or homeless are bearing that winter weather right now. Geeta, stay on with me for now. This, remember, while is a horrifying image, it's not the first for Turkey. Turkey has been an active earthquake zone, and there were tragedies that has been faced earlier as well. For example, in 1939, the tremors have been faced in the past few years also in Turkey and in Syria. But this one clearly appears to be one of the worst that the country has seen since 1939. A detailed report on the earthquakes in Turkey.
3 massive earthquakes in just 12 hours. Buildings coming down like dominoes. The first 2 quakes, measuring 7.8 and 7.6 on the Richter scale, are the worst witnessed in Turkey since 1939. The epicenter of the quake was near Gaziantep, a city in southern Turkey.
Morning when I was sleeping, and we ran away from the home. We got on the cars. All of the people were on the streets. All of them took their cars and trying to be away from the buildings. So since morning till now, I think the earthquake hits more than 15 times Gaziantep, and 2 hours ago, it's the second biggest one is also hits, and some of the buildings let's say collapsed.
Hundreds of buildings have collapsed in cities across the country. 3 massive earthquakes in just 12 hours. Buildings coming down like dominoes. The first 2 quakes, measuring 7.8 and 7.6 on the Richter scale, are the worst witnessed in Turkey since 1939. The epicenter of the quake was near Gaziantep, a city in southern Turkey.
Morning when I was sleeping, and we ran away from the home. We got on the cars. All of the people were on the streets. All of them took their cars and trying to be away from the buildings. So since morning till now, I think the earthquake hits more than 15 times Gaziantep, and 2 hours ago, it's the second biggest one is also hits, and some of the buildings let's say collapsed.
Hundreds of buildings have collapsed in cities across the country, many of which shelter thousands of refugees from Syria. Thousands are feared trapped under the rubble. Search operations are underway to get more survivors out, and residents, though still in shock, have joined the rescue operations.
The numbers are continuing to change, but we know that in southern Turkey, over 1,000 people have been reported dead, thousands others injured. Official numbers from northern Syria indicate around 325 people killed, over 1,000 injured. In the area of northwest Syria, we understand from health workers there that over 120 people have been killed.
The earthquake spared no one and nothing. Turkey's infrastructure has been badly dented, with natural gas pipelines and airport runways breaking apart after facing the brunt of these earthquakes. Turkey has called for international help to deal with the emergency.
The earthquake had a magnitude of 7.7 as per the latest estimates, was felt in a very broad region.
India has also joined the global community in rescue efforts, with New Delhi sending 2 teams of NDRF to quake-hit areas. Turkey's neighbor Syria is also reeling from the quake. The trembler killed hundreds in Syria, adding on more misery to an already war-ravaged country. Bureau Report, India Today.
And at this time of humanitarian crisis, India has extended a hand of friendship to Turkey and has sent out right away 2 NDRF teams, which constitutes about 100 trained experts. Take a look at this NDRF team that has been sent out to Turkey and also to Syria, according to the Prime Minister's office. Remember, while we're talking about 4,000 people who have died, what constitutes in this NDRF team that after a high-level meeting has now been sent out? We're talking about trained doctors, paramedics, essential medicines, even dog squads. The personnel includes both women and male personnel. The NDRF team that has been sent out has also drilling equipment of advanced nature. You will need to be drilling further into that cement wreckage to be able to find out the supply to survivors who have survived this. So this is, of course, a big moment of extending help that Turkey clearly would be in dire need of right now. Let's bring in Abhishek Bhalla for the latest on that. Abhishek, can you give us more details about the 2 NDRF teams that have been sent, which means constituting about 100 trained personnel, if I'm correct? How have they been sent? Are they en route already? And what all has been included in that consignment? Over to you, Abhishek.
Well, Pooja, the NDRF teams were flown last night by an Indian Air Force transport aircraft, the Globemaster C-17, which is, in fact, the transport aircraft of the Indian Air Force, which has maximum capacity. So not just personnel of the NDRF, but also a lot of relief material, including medicines, several kinds of equipment, drilling machines that can be used in a situation like this in post-earthquake relief work. Also, specialized dogs are part of this team. And this is just the first batch that has been sent. There is all likelihood that if required, the Indian government will send in more teams and more relief material. And also the transport aircraft which has gone there, that can be used even within the country if required for transporting other material as part of relief work.
Abhishek, please stay on with me, because as we are looking at these visuals, can you also help us understand the aircraft that's been sent? What does it mean when the consignment of this large nature? Because at this point, we also know that time is running out, and the details that we have is very, it will be important in the manner in which it will help in the rescue operations. Are we expected for sending more teams possible if required?
Yes, there is a likelihood of more teams and relief material to be sent. And just to give a sense of what this aircraft is, you know, it's really a jumbo aircraft, and to put it simply for viewers to understand, it can carry even tanks on board. So, you know, that's the kind of capacity, that's the kind of payload it can carry, and that's perhaps one of the reasons that the C-17 was chosen for sending the relief material, because it really can carry a lot of payload, and if the need be, the Indian Air Force and other government agencies will be pressed in as far as relief material and relief work is concerned.
Abhishek, please keep tracking the latest on that. Abhishek is telling us about how India has immediately dispatched 2 NDRF teams, and if more required, it will be in consideration too. Remember, Turkey has raised a level 4 alarm, which calls for international assistance, and it's for all to see. The visuals of horrifying nature speak. But I have big news coming in, and it's not good news. Another earthquake has jolted Turkey right as I speak. This, remember, also includes aftershocks. So once there is a massive earthquake of 7.8 magnitude, there are likely to be aftershocks. And within one day, that aftershock has come. and about 5.9 magnitude earthquake on the Richter scale has hit Turkey again. This is another earthquake which actually means fourth. It can be a part of the aftershocks, but at even 5.9, it will be a strong tremor that is felt. And in buildings that are already in a dilapidated condition, there are injured, there are homeless, there are people who must be under the debris right now. And quake measuring 5.9 has struck central Turkey. Let's go across to our foreign affairs editor, Geeta Mohan, for the latest on that. Geeta, can you tell us more details about this fourth earthquake that has taken place in Turkey?
Well, that's right. These are initial reports that are coming in. It is an earthquake and the fourth one at that. Tremors and shock waves have been felt across the region in various parts and various countries as well, Pooja. But this certainly, with the magnitude that it's showing, is an earthquake 5.9 on the Richter scale. We do not know the exact location right now of the earthquake, but all of them have been concentrated in southeast Turkey, and the last one was in central east Turkey as well. So we are looking at the fourth earthquake in the very same region, very close to the Mediterranean Sea. Again, fears of tsunami-like conditions. Yesterday, we saw that there was major high tide in some parts, and that certainly could have been because of the earthquake. The fear for Cyprus increases because it is in the Mediterranean Sea. But for now, reports of another earthquake, 5.9 on the Richter, like you rightly said, with the dilapidated condition of the buildings and weakening of their foundation.
And Geeta, it's important to mention here that this also wouldn't possibly be felt only by Turkey. It could be adjacent countries like Syria, Cyprus, Lebanon could have also felt. And these are aftershocks that do happen. But when it's a 7.9, 7.8 magnitude, even an aftershock is 5.9.
Well, that's right. This is, they're calling it an earthquake and not an aftershock or a shock wave. So we'll call it an earthquake for now. But the shock wave certainly felt in the neighboring nations of Lebanon, Syria, Cyprus, Iraq as well, a little far away from the epicenter, but Iraq also felt the tremors of the earthquake, and there will be shock waves and aftershocks of the earthquake that will be felt across. Having said that, 4 earthquakes, one after the other, in a very short span of a day and a half, clearly shows that this region is absolutely vulnerable. The details of what is the shift in the tectonic plates and all of that will come in a while. But for now, the focus, not just for the administration in Turkey and Syria, but also for the global community has been to ensure
another earthquake has struck Turkey. We are talking about 4 earthquakes now, including aftershocks. 5.9 on the Richter scale. That's the magnitude. Remember when an earthquake, the first one that took place was about 7.8. Even an aftershock, if we can call it, even though this is an earthquake, it's 5.9. Buildings that are already ravaged, and news is not looking good in Turkey, Syria and its adjacent nations. While India has sent out immediate aid and help of the NDRF teams and equipments and personnel, time is running out also for the survivors there. I do not want to only bring you disturbing news, because amid all these tears and horror, there is miracle too. People have been rescued. Look at the tears of joy of being able to pull out alive children specifically who've been able to be brought out from those cracks. Look closely on your screen, 3 visuals. A group coming to hug each other. Most likely these are either parents, relatives, locals, just strangers, but also rescue team personnel who are drilling to find out if they can hear anyone. Dog squads have also been sent out, for example, by India. These are snow-clad areas. We're trying to give you as many visuals as possible. And in these, take a look closely now. This is a fresh visual on your screen right now, and this is important. The reason we are showing you is this is a road between Gaziantep and Adana city, the 2 cities that have faced maximum damage. This road has completely collapsed. What does this mean? Any sort of perhaps communication or equipment that could be sent, any passage that the road can be used, that road has completely collapsed. What else do you see? These are snow-clad areas. It's the peak winter season right now for Turkey too. So of course these areas completely packed in snow. We can see the transport that has fallen, the buses that have fallen, the roads have caved in. These roads are likely to be used to connect Gaziantep with the city of Adana. This shows that how the damage is not just about urban residential areas, but even on the hill. The road has completely caved in. It has gone, as it looks like, on a deep gorge. You can see a bus down there. We'll try and get more details on that. Our hope and prayers from India to the people of Turkey and Syria. And remember, this is in many ways, while a natural disaster that the earthquake is, it's very difficult to predict. But as many across Turkey and Syria are also asking questions on the urban development, on the buildings that are constructed in these areas. All of that are also questions, but that will crop up later for the administration to take care of. For now, the earthquake has completely flattened urban areas where the buildings, even high-rise, have come tumbling down. And all of this happening within seconds. Cannot even imagine the horror that the families would have been facing, specifically those who are in other cities and are trying to get in touch with their relatives and family members. So now officially 4 earthquakes in Turkey and adjacent countries of Syria, Cyprus, Lebanon. Here are some of the images. Let's begin. Take a look. 3 massive earthquakes in just 12 hours. First 2 earthquakes measuring 7.8, 7.6 on the Richter scale, worst witnessed in Turkey. This is since 1939. The German Research Center for Geosciences and the earthquake struck at a depth of 10 kilometers near the southern Turkish city. A Turkish security official said thousands of buildings have been flattened in Turkey and Syria collectively, adding that there are many people, and the number cannot really be counted right now, who have been trapped under the rubble. But the danger is not just that. Look closely. It's an industrial manufacturing hub in these areas, which means natural gas pipelines in Hatay burst under the force of the powerful earthquake. This video showing massive pipelines burning into flames in the Kahramanmaraş area in Turkey. These are border cities, remember, bordering other nations too. As these buildings collapsed, local residents went on top of that rubble where were once high-rise buildings to try and look for survivors. This is the Diyarbakir area, and they are trying to search for survivors. Many people, and we cannot even define the numbers right now. The details are still emerging, trapped under the debris. Search operation is underway. Residents were seen triggering a search for survivors to try and hear, look, or find out something or someone under this rubble of debris. The buildings which were once on top floors are now on the ground. Indians are sending out hope prayers, and the government sending a consignment, and we hope many more survivors will be found in Turkey, Syria and other nations. It's a devastating earthquake and an international humanitarian crisis. I'm heading into a very short break, but stay tuned, because when I return, I get you what he's called a Pakistan legend, Javed Miandad, a famous cricketer, but had to say the most inappropriate, objectionable rant and tirade on India. Frustration out in the open, because they are going to suffer if the cricket tournament does not happen. Let's bring you the latest on that after a very short break. Stay tuned. You're watching The Burning Question.
Vaishnavi, and I am going to tell you ways to spruce up your home in a sustainable way. It's possible, it's way more affordable, and it's great for the environment. So let's show you how you can make your home more sustainable. always buy furniture from a thrift market. Get a carpenter to make it look distressed chic. It will help your home to look super international and add a old vintage character to your home. Also, it will help you save the trees from being cut. Go green. If you have a big house, plant some trees around it and do your bit. If you have a small home, nice and cozy one, you can always plant saplings around it. Have a mini garden. As a hobby, you can also try hydroponics. We have the CEO of the hotel to tell you more about it.
Hydroponics is a technology which is without the soil, which means you don't use any soil out there, which also means that whatever you're producing out of that, like the green leafy vegetables, you can actually produce fruits also from there. So this is without the soil, which means that also means there won't be any chemical, no fertilizer, no pesticizer. This is one of the cleanest technology of growing your own vegetables. The beauty of this technology is also that you do not wait for sunlight to come to produce your own vegetables. So the technology what we have right now in the hotel, we are actually growing it in the basement, our basements, in one of the rooms. And this only needs your AC to be maintained at a particular temperature. It's a basic monitoring which is required, and our chefs are super excited now, along with the gardeners, to take this technology to the next level.
So what they have actually started doing here is, they have started using only glass bottles. There are no plastic bottles. In this way, they're trying to save the environment by recycling the glass bottles. What they do first is, they clean the water bottles. They have been used before. The glass water bottles are then filled again with water of 7.42 pH level. And then these bottles are sealed. Upcycle. That does not mean cycling uphill. It simply means reusing the old stuff and making something new and creative out of it. Just like the sapling in this coconut shell.
Make your media plan smarter with India Today Live TV on your connected devices. Amplify your brand with 100 million smart internet viewers. To advertise, mail us at sales@aajtak.com.
A corporate museum called The Journey has got everyone talking. This museum showcases the origins of the DS Group, its struggling era, initial phase of establishment, the downfall followed by rejuvenation of family members, revival of business, and reincarnation of the belief of the founder, Sri Satyapalji. It's actually the art of storytelling, which involves a wide range of media and multimedia tools backed by context-driven, strong narrative that has made the outcome truly an undulating one. It took 2 years for this museum to be completed.
I took over the business and I used to see the files of my father, the records and other things. So I came to know that what was the hard work he put in. And in 50s and 60s, where there was no brand consciousness, he used to work hard. We got those handmade designs and other things. Creating brand where trademark and branding was not known to anybody. So then we started collecting them, and there were huge bundles of papers and other things. So we started developing a biography on him.
Okay.
So in 2014 we launched his biography, and वो इतना डाटा कलेक्ट करते करते हमारे को मतलब ये लगा कि अब हमारे को ये म्यूज़ियम के लायक सामान है, तो फिर हमने म्यूज़ियम पे काम करना शुरू करा. And so that from my grandfather's time to father and the next generation and whatever development is going on, all is depicted in the museum.
Traveling from different parts.
Armed with facts, she takes the news by its horns.
Do you think the future of these students are not hampered?
Fierce, bold and direct, setting the tone for the biggest stories. From every corner and every angle. Expect nothing but the unfiltered truth.
News first, niceties later. Watch me, Nabila Jamal, on India Today.
He may be a Pakistan cricketing legend, but he's also now become a ranter. Pakistan's batting great Javed Miandad has fired this broadside at the Indian Cricket Board for its refusal to travel to Pakistan for the Asia Cup in 2023. But that's not all. He said India and Indian team to go to hell, bhaad mein jaiye. Last year in October, Pakistani cricket authorities had hinted they may pull out of the next year's World Cup in India, a day after officials said they will not be sending a team to the 2023 Asia Cup in Pakistan. But here's what he had said. Let's listen in first to what Javed Miandad said, ranting on against India, and then I'll translate it for you.
तो पहले भी कहते थे नहीं आता तो भाड़ में जाए, हमें कोई फर्क नहीं पड़ता, हमें हमारी क्रिकेट मिल रही है. राइट, ये आईसीसी का काम है. अगर ये चीज अगर आईसीसी कंट्रोल नहीं कर सकती तो फिर गवर्निंग बॉडी का कोई काम नहीं आईसीसी का. राइट, आईसीसी को चाहिए कि रूल फॉर सारी कंट्री के लिए एक होना चाहिए. अगर ऐसी टीमें नहीं आती जितनी भी स्ट्रांग हो, आप उसको डिबाट कर बात करें उसका. तो इंडिया होगा अपने लिए होगा, हमारे लिए या दुनिया के लिए नहीं है, पाकिस्तान के लिए नहीं है. आओ खेलो, खेलते क्यों नहीं है, भागते. उनकी मुसीबत हो जाती है जब भागते तो.
Go to hell. India suffers a loss and has the fear that they will suffer a loss. That is why they don't want to come. What is the ICC doing? ICC needs to pull the grip on the Indian team. But of course, amid all this, remember, he's been a public figure. And he has many fans and friends also, even in the cricket team here in India. But he says, if they don't want to come, bhaad mein jaye, go to hell. Let's bring in my colleague Nitin Srivastava, who closely tracks the sports fraternity. What can we say this reflects in? Because this was Indian team saying that due to the constrained and restrained relations with Pakistan over terror issues, we will not be sending a team to Pakistan. We need to look for a neutral venue. Ever since, and then this comment coming in from Javed Miandad.
Well, Pooja, I mean, from Javed Miandad, such remarks are, I mean, it's something which is very disturbing because, see, first of all, let me fill in you with some major information and major details about Asia Cup. So, originally, Pakistan was given the rights to host Asia Cup, but since BCCI and the Indian team is not willing to travel because government is not allowing them to travel to Pakistan. Secondly, there was a meeting in Bahrain 2 days back where all the stakeholders were there and they decided that we will take a call on Asia Cup, that which venue, will it be shifted to any other venue or it will remain with Pakistan. So as of now, there is no decision. There will be a next round of meeting next month, and then it will be decided that if Pakistan is going to host Asia Cup or not. But Mr. Javed Miadad's remark is absolutely disturbing, because see, India and Pakistan were playing cricket for a long time, but in last 1 decade there was no cricket for these two countries because of the government initiatives and government border tensions. So as of now, he's saying "Bhar mein jao," and they don't even care if India is not coming. So, and also he should know that Asia Cup is under Asian Cricket Council, not under ICC. ICC is the parent body. When it comes to the World Cup, when it's come to the T20 World Cup, 50-over World Cup, then only ICC can intervene. So
that's an interesting fact that you've mentioned, and many may not be aware of it, Nitin. And thank you for that. Stay on with me, because I want our viewers. It's very interesting, intriguing what Javed Miadad has said. He could have acted as a bridge, but here's what he had to say. Listen in.
तो पहले भी कहते थे नहीं आज तो भाड़ में जाए, हमें कोई फर्क नहीं पड़ता, हमें हमारी क्रिकेट मिल रही है। राइट, ये आईसीसी का काम है। अगर ये चीज अगर आईसीसी कंट्रोल नहीं कर सकती तो फिर गवर्निंग बॉडी का कोई काम नहीं आईसीसी का। राइट, आईसीसी को चाहिए कि रूल फॉर सारी कंट्री के लिए एक होना चाहिए। अगर ऐसी टीमें नहीं आती, जितनी भी स्ट्रांग हो, आप उसको बात करें उसका, तो इंडिया होगा अपने लिए होगा, हमारे लिए या दुनिया के लिए नहीं है, पाकिस्तान के लिए नहीं है। आओ खेलो, खेलते क्यों नहीं है, भागते, उनकी मुसीबत हो जाती है जब भागते तो।
So when he said "haar se bhagte," it's basically that India is scared of a defeat, and that's why they're not coming. Also saying "go to hell," like we just heard, but it's got a response. Venkatesh Prasad, who's been very vocal lately on Twitter, and of course is a renowned bowler and has been a player for the country as well. He reacted sarcastically, of course, to the statement by, you can see, one of the agencies, and said former Pakistan Javed Miadad lashing out at BCCI for their stance of not playing in Pakistan. But Venkatesh Prasad took a sarcastic jibe to say, but they are refusing to go to hell. Joining me now on the phone line is former cricketer and legend for India, Mr. Madan Lal. Sir, when you hear from Javed Miadad, who of course you've also played against, for him to say go to hell, bhaad mein jaiye, and डरते हैं हार से, इसीलिए तो नहीं आ रहे हैं. How should one even look at these statements coming in from him?
But that shows how well educated he is. So when he talks something like this, he should understand that he's talking for the country. That's why their country image is like that. They doesn't think before speaking. So like these sort of comments you can expect from Pakistani. So they're always been like this. So Javed Miadad is not different.
He has changed over the years, or it was always these sort of provocative comments? Because today, if at all, India, for some reasons of security risk, did not want to go to Pakistan, he could have acted as a bridge. He could have been assuring the Indian team or Indian government or even the BCCI. But for him to say, go to hell, and use comments like, you're scared of your defeat, that reflects poorly on his own stature.
Not scared of defeat, but they know this fellow is now, I do get some message from him also sometimes in a WhatsApp message. But, he sometimes he's singing, sometimes he's talking some nonsense, about collecting the money and everything for the country. But, like this fellow is gone something, beyond imagination. His mind is not working that properly, I think so. Because, the Pakistan need us. We don't need them.
That's true. That's correct.
Because, if they want to play cricket, that's all.
Mr. Madanlal, that's my question. Do you think India not going, as he says, doesn't matter to us? But the fact is, it does matter.
Of course it does matter, because the thing is, they need us, if they don't play, who's going to lose? They're going to lose, We're not going to lose. India, the security reason is definitely there. So recently you see, in Peshawar there was a bomb blast, and there was a PSL. There was something went off. So how the cricketer can go there and play cricket, especially the India. And I'm sure, Pakistan will be losing a lot of things if he doesn't play,
Mr. Madanlal, thank you so much for speaking to India today. It is a security risk for the Indian team. Remember, other countries have also expressed their concerns as well over what Javed Miandad has said now. And perhaps just reflect on his own comments. Go to hell, India is scared of defeat. Doesn't reflect fairly well on the stature and the love he even had, appreciation here in India for his batting skills. Moving on now, before I wrap up this bulletin. You heard of Salman Rushdie, the renowned global author, and the attack that he faced in the United States of America, in New York specifically, just before he was to address a seminar. This is what Salman Rushdie looks like. He has lost an eye. Look closely on the right cheek of Salman Rushdie. That's the scar he will have to carry only because he wrote a book with courage. And years later, we're talking about over 30 years later, a young man in his mid-20s thought he does not like what he's written and came charging with an intent to kill him, but he has survived. Salman Rushdie, in his first interview, has said he feels fortunate to have survived the attack and its overwhelming feeling is of gratitude. This photograph that has surfaced online shows he's wearing that eye patch because according to information coming in, he's suffered grievous injuries on the right eye and on the right part of his mouth and face. He has revealed that he has lost vision in the right eye. He has lost the use of one hand after the attack. He's a writer, remember, and cannot write with one hand now. He's also said that his writing has now become a combination of blankness and junk, and he writes and then deletes. Rushdie's latest novel was completed just before the attack. It is going to be published very soon. But this is what perhaps the real xenophobia, radicalization, and just the inability to ask and accept a book being written looks like. I'm wrapping up this bulletin for now. Thank you so much for watching. Always stay tuned to indiatoday.in. That's where you find all the latest updates. But also stay tuned to our bulletins. Thank you for watching. Take care.
As a ground controller, the occasion of doing this episode of Battle Cry is a sad one. There has been a mid-air collision, we understand, in the Indian Air Force where, one pilot was tragically lost. We also do know that mid-air collisions are a rare occurrence because there are many safeguards. But as a ground controller, can you tell us, what are the things that are done to avoid mid-air collisions and why do they still happen?
Okay, thank you for the question, Shiv. So firstly, the main aim of any air traffic controller is to provide separation between aircraft and prevent the collision between two aircraft.
Yes.
So when we talk about separation, the separation is both given in air as well as on ground. Now, because we are talking about mid-air collision here, I will tell you about the separation that is given in air is both vertical and horizontal separation. With that, there is something known as a timed separation also. So at one point, you will never find any two aircrafts which are reciprocal to each other within 30 nautical miles on the same route or on the same level. But at the same time, depending upon the situation, you can say the type of aircraft, the capability, weather, the mission, etc., the separation also keeps differing.
Yes.
And another thing here important is that as an air traffic controller, it is important thing for me that we maintain always a two-way communication. A radio communication is established between the aircraft flying in the air as well as the air traffic control tower. Now, coming up to the second question that you asked me, that why do these mid-air collisions occur? I would like to tell you that it's a one odd situation. It all depends. I would say that there are no specific same reasons for a mid-air collision to occur. The reasons are completely different as it's completely situational based.
Yes.
Today, the aviation industry has boomed so much. The quantum of flying has also increased, and so has been the stress on the material as well as the men. So when I talk about civil aviation here, you would know that the last mid-air collision which took place in India was in 1996. Yeah, Turkey-Syria incident, where we had two civil airliners colliding into each other. But now let me take you a little bit towards military aviation. Now, military aviation is completely dynamic because the operational necessity will always overrule the general rules of air.
Yes.
Because here the missions are dictating the flying norms here. Now, having said that, the sophisticated avionics we have, the absolutely amazing training of the pilots, the maintenance practices, and even the checks and balances in place, no two incidents are similar here.
Shah Rukh Khan's Pathan has been rocking at the movie theatres. It is in fact being touted as the best action movie of recent times. But is it true? What does the Tech Today community think about it? Are the tech sequences worth watching the movie in the movie theatre, or will the Tech Today community wait to watch it on OTT? Let's try and find out. Where will it be, in the cinema theatre or on OTT?
Cinemas. SRK in cinemas.
Movie theatre. OTT.
Will you be watching it in an IMAX or in a regular theatre?
IMAX for sure.
Yeah, that is really heavy, great VFX, and even John Abraham also, I like him, and Shah Rukh Khan especially.
I have heard a lot about it, how it has a parallel from a Christopher Nolan movie, and the technologies that they've used is same, so I want to explore that.
Not interested in watching in a movie theatre.
Is there any reason why you're averse to going to a movie theatre?
I feel more relaxed watching it at home.
Yes, if it releases in Amazon or Netflix, otherwise not.
Actually, we went to the cinema hall yesterday. I almost wanted to watch it, but my wife said we'll watch it on OTT.
Make your media plan smarter with India Today Live TV on your connected devices. Amplify your brand with 100 million smart internet viewers. To advertise, mail us at sales@aajtak.com.
Public health, all political parties traveling from different parts.
Armed with facts,
Looking at political black.
she takes the news by its horns.
Do you think the future of these students are not hampered?
Fierce, bold, and direct, setting the tone for the biggest stories from every corner and every angle. Expect nothing but the unfiltered truth.
News first, niceties later. Watch me, Nabila Jamal, on India Today.
Insurance company, Planet Easy.
We'll kickstart this edition of India's Agenda with some news just coming in. I'm Sneha Mordani. Here's what's developing. Key BJP parliamentary meeting is underway. The Prime Minister and Party President JP Nadda attend this meeting. Important strategy meeting of the BJP is currently underway right now, is what we've been given to understand. BJP's parliamentary party meeting is being held today. These are pictures, in fact, coming in of this meeting right now. This is being held in Parliament. This comes at a time when the houses, both houses, in fact, of the Parliament have not been functioning. Essentially, this is a weekly meeting of the BJP wherein the party is going to strategize on what is next as far as their flow strategy essentially is concerned. Every Tuesday, Paulami, this meeting is held. This time around, of course, they're going to be discussing on what is to be done given the limbo the Parliament has found itself in.
Well, yes, that is, of course, going to be part of the discussion, but that is something that the Prime Minister, of course, strategizes with the top ministers of the government before the session begins. At the BJP parliamentary party meeting, though, the top agenda, of course, is going to be the likely address by the Prime Minister to the members of Parliament, where he will be basically telling them about the union budget, which has just been presented, and how they should be taking it to the people, and, of course, arranging and organizing various programs and events, which basically tells the people about what are the key points of the union budget and how they stand to benefit from the union budget. So that is going to be the key feature of the Prime Minister's address, as he, of course, speaks to the members of Parliament of the Bharatiya Janata Party. Also, the President of the party, Mr. JP Nadda, will, of course, ask the MPs to gear up and start preparing for, of course, the key state elections that are to happen across 2023. Of course, the first of those states goes to polls, Tripura, on February 16, which is again very crucial for the Bharatiya Janata Party. The BJP will, of course, look to retain power in the state of Tripura. But clearly, there are many more state elections which are going to be extremely crucial, which will, of course, set the stage for 2024 Lok Sabha elections. BJP, as you know, is already, referred to as an election machine. So it is already preparing for general elections 2024, even as we speak. So those sort of talking points in terms of what the members of Parliament need to do in order to, of course, set the stage for 2024 are going to sort of feature in the BJP National President's address as well.
Thought really, Paulami, within the government on the demand of either a JPC, a Joint Parliamentary Committee probe, or a Supreme Court monitored probe into this Adani issue. Does the government, find itself on the back foot, at least, on this entire matter, given that the Congress has obviously made this about the Prime Minister and his associations with the Adani Group?
Well, the government, of course...
Paul, we're just going to come back to you in a few seconds from now. We have a reaction coming in. Let's listen.
उसको inaugurate करना या उसका फाउंडेशन स्टोन डालना, ये चीजें कर रहे हैं. ये चुनाव के लिए जा रहे हैं, ना कि वहाँ के लोगों को मदद करने के लिए, नए इंडस्ट्री लाने के लिए नहीं जा रहे. 250 पब्लिक सेक्टर क्लोज कर रहे हैं और बेच रहे हैं. और यहाँ बार बड़ी बात करते हैं कि कांग्रेस पार्टी प्रिवेंट कर रही है, नई इंडस्ट्री लाने नहीं दे रही. अरे हम जो इंडस्ट्री लाए थे कांग्रेस पार्टी, और बड़े इंडस्ट्रीज आज कम से कम पब्लिक सेक्टर में 10 लाख लोग काम करते हैं, वो कांग्रेस की देन है. तो ये लोग चुनावी प्रचार के लिए गए हैं, वहाँ के लोगों के मदद करने के लिए नहीं.
सर, अडानी पर संसद से सड़क तक हंगामा है. कांग्रेस का कहना है अडानी और मोदी जी एक ही सिक्के के दो पहलू हैं.
देखिए, ये तो पहले हम कहे हैं और कल राहुल जी भी एक कहे हैं। तो हमारा कहना यही है कि हम चर्चा करेंगे, चर्चा में आप लोग हमारी चर्चा को मान लेके जो हम डिमांड कर रहे हैं कि यहाँ वहाँ पर उसकी प्रॉपर इंक्वायरी होना है या प्रॉपर उसको अगर कुछ रिजल्ट निकलना है तो उसको जॉइंट पार्लियामेंट्री कमेटी जो बोल रहे हैं हम जेपीसी, वो कॉन्स्टिट्यूट कीजिए, उसके सामने सब चीज़ें आएंगे। आप घबरा रहे क्यों? या नहीं है तो चीफ जस्टिस ऑफ इंडिया के सुपरविजन में ये कीजिए, इसमें क्या गलती है, क्यों नहीं कर रहे? तो ये चर्चा से वो लोग भाग रहे, हम नहीं भाग रहे। अभी हम उठने तक अगर आप रिकॉर्ड निकाल के देखिए, 3 दिन मैंने भी वहाँ बैठा था, एक शब्द भी वहाँ हमारा आया है कोई अपोज करने का या गड़बड़ करने का। वो कोई बात हम उठाते हैं उससे पहले ही वो अडजर्न करते हैं। जो नोटिस हम दे रहे हैं रूल 267 के तहत, उसके बारे में कोई एक्सप्लेनेशन नहीं, कोई कहना नहीं, कुछ भी नहीं है। सिर्फ बोलना कि ऑर्डर में नहीं है, रिजेक्ट करना, चले जाना, उठना, ये हमारा है। भाई आप कोशिश किए क्या सदन चलाने के लिए? कितने बार मिले, कितने बार बुलाए, मीटिंग्स हो गए, सब ये हमारे ऊपर ये वो हमेशा हल्ला ऐसा ही करते हैं, ये झूठ बोलते रहते हैं। और मैं पहले से यही कह रहा हूँ।
Heard from the Congress president there, insistent on a JPC. Why is the government afraid is the question that the opposition is asking. Paulmi Saha tracking all of those details. Paulmi, in fact, I was asking you the same thing as far as the demand for a Supreme Court monitored probe or a joint parliamentary committee probe as is being insisted upon by the opposition is concerned. Surely there would be a middle path that the government would be looking at, isn't it? Okay, we'll just try and connect with my colleague Paulmi Saha in a few moments from now, but we're getting you all the details as far as this entire issue is concerned. Right now, we're staying with the pictures of the key BJP Parliamentary Party meeting, which of course is held every week on Tuesdays. Meanwhile, the opposition has turned up the heat on the Modi government over the Adani stock meltdown. Stepping up the attack on the Modi government, Congress has stormed Parliament with its workers hitting the streets across the nation to protest against Adani on Monday. In a scathing attack, Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman slammed Congress for always spreading hatred, she said. And also, hitting out at Modi, Rahul Gandhi said the Prime Minister will do his best to avert a discussion on the Adani issue in Parliament, asserting that the country should know what power is behind the billionaire businessman. Congress has been asking for a debate on Adani controversy in Parliament ever since the session began. After 3 days of disruptions on the Adani issue, Parliament is going to begin discussion, possibly, on the motion of thanks on the President's address from today onwards.
ये 7 साल में ही इनकी सरकार विवादों में घिर गया था। मोदी 9 साल में यूपीए सरकार पूरे कार्यकाल विवादों में घिरा रहा। अब मोदी की 9 साल की सरकार उम्मीदों में घिरा रहा। बजट में इनको कुछ मिला नहीं तो कहां से अदानी, अब अदानी का जवाब दें? वो तो कह रहा है कि मुझे राजीव गांधी ने पहला ब्रेक दिया है और बहस के लिए सरकार तैयार।
Supriya Bharadwaj is tracking that story as far as the opposition's stand is concerned. Supriya, this is important from the point of view of the motion of thanks as far as the budget is concerned. This has to be done on the floor of the House. This apart from the crucial pending legislative business. What really is the way forward here, and is there going to be a change in the strategy of the opposition at all?
Well, Sneha, first and foremost, what we are hearing is that this time the Congress and all the like-minded parties also are seeking a discussion in the House. They are rather saying that it is the government which is not allowing a discussion to take place in both the houses, Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha. I have been joined by Congress Party's MP in Lok Sabha, Jyoti Mani ji. Ma'am, will the House function today or no?
See, we the opposition parties want the house to be function because we want to discuss the issues, especially the Adani scam. This is the biggest scam in the India's independent history. There are a lot of poor and middle class people who have invested public sector undertakings like LIC, SBI, Union Bank of India. We don't know what happened to our investment in these banks. The government has given the very strategical important assets like ports, airports, spectrum, power, gas and everything to Adani and his company without having any proper rules and regulations been followed. So now after the Hindenburg report, the Adani shares are heavily coming down. The market is bloodbath in the market. So we, within our right as an opposition party, we want to protect the economy of this country. We want to know what exactly happened. We know Adani is very close to the Honorable Prime Minister. Even Prime Minister went to the another sovereign country, Sri Lanka, and bargained for pressurized that government to give a power contract to Adani company. The Sri Lankan's power board chairman came out and openly said this on record. Even Prime Minister of a country went to another sovereign country, pressurized the country to get a contract for his friend Adani. Why don't we legitimately asking, are you involved any of this contracts in India? So what is wrong with this? Government has nothing to do with that. Government has really wanted to have a very fair, transparent, honest government. Why don't they have a form a JPC as we demanding? We are asking for a demand. We are asking JPC, if they form the JPC, things is over. It's not we, the opposition. The government doesn't want to have a discussion because they know they will be exposed. The scam will come out. The relationship between Adani and Mr. Narendra Modi and the BJP is known to the, not only India, known to the world. So they get scared.
These are very serious allegations that you are leveling.
Yes, of course, yes. This all, what I'm saying on the Sri Lanka, it's on the record.
But the House will function because some of your opposition parties are saying that no, first JPC probe demand has to be met, a discussion has to take place, then only the motion on thanks, that discussion will be allowed.
This is an important issue which we are raising. This is affecting the country, affecting the economy. This is one, just because of the one person, the Prime Minister and the government has allowed that one person have everything in this country, which is built by the Congress government with the help, blood and sweat of the people. Now you cannot carry one person and destroy everything what we have built over 70 years.
But BJP's counter is this. They are saying that because the president of the country is a tribal woman, that's why you guys are actually trying to embarrass her. You guys are disrespecting her. Why you are not letting the discussion happen on her statement?
See, this actually by saying this, it's not the opposition. We do respect President as an office, as a woman, as a tribal. We deeply respect her. We have no reason not to respect her. But this is the problem. The government actually by hiding behind the president and unfortunately her community, they are actually insulting the office of the president and the lady with the grace.
Well, these are what the sentiments over here is, Sneha, at the moment. What we are expecting right now is that there is going to be a meeting of the opposition leaders in the parliament, which will be headed by leader of the opposition, Mr. Mallikarjun Kharge. And finally, the floor strategy will be made. But the indication which is coming from the opposition camp is that they also wanted discussion on the entire matter. And this is what they're saying, that let the discussion happen. We want to put out our facts on the table. This is what Jyoti Mani was also referring to. And they're also saying that we want a JPC or a Supreme Court monitored probe in the entire matter.
All right.
So we have to see that what the scenes will be, whether it will be once again stormy. But yes, sentiments outside are actually very stormy as far as the opposition is concerned. They are playing on the front foot at the moment.
Well, evidently. I'm going to thank you for the moment, Supriya, for getting us all of those details. In fact, we are telling you about what is expected even as the BJP's parliamentary party meeting is underway to strategize on what next. We have a reaction also coming in. Let's go straight to that.
Joined by BRS leader K. Keshav Rao. Sir, yesterday the government tried to reach out to the opposition leaders.
I don't know. Who said that?
Prahlad Joshi met Mr. Adhir Ranjan Chaudhary, T.R. Balu. And in fact, in order to make a consensus on this logjam, do you think that Parliament will run today, sir?
Let us see. You are giving me the news now. They have met it. If they have met it, I don't know what they have talked. Once they talk it, and we'll all talk it over and do it.
So you're firm on your stand that everything should be suspended and Adani should be discussed.
That is what exactly a focused discussion on that is what we have been requesting for last 1 week. Now, if yesterday they have talked something else, I'm going there only. I know about it. And now we are all together, opposition. So we will take a joint act.
Rahul Gandhi yesterday said that it is Prime Minister Narendra Modi who himself doesn't want discussion on Adani.
I'm saying that. Why should Rahul Gandhi say that? I'm saying they have been running away for last 3 days from the Parliament. I have given my notice for discussion. I made 3 requests and the chairman has rejected. That means what? The government wants to run away from the discussion.
One last thing, sir. Are you saying that today, as Congress party, we're getting from our sources that they might go for the discussion on presidential address? Will you take part in that or not?
I'll take a decision after talking to the Congress party members.
Thank you. This leader, Mr. K. Keshav Rao, putting clear words that he'll decide that he'll go for this opposition party meeting. Only then he'll decide that whether he wants to go for. Thank you.
Already heard from Keshav Rao, leader of the BRS. In fact, talking about the fact that they're going to continue to talk to the opposition and the Congress essentially on this matter on what should be the opposition strategy. BRS is seeking a debate in Parliament over the Adani issue. Congress and the others are saying there should be a JPC or a Supreme Court monitored investigation in this entire matter. India today put questions to the ministers and the government over the Adani crisis. Rajya Sabha House Leader and Minister Piyush Goyal spoke to us, our networks. Sudhir Chaudhary, here's what he said.
आपकी सरकार जब भी अपनी उपलब्धि गिनाती है तो भ्रष्टाचार मुक्त शब्द जरूर इस्तेमाल करती है और ईमानदार छवि ये शब्द जरूर इस्तेमाल करती है।
छवि नहीं, काम
बिल्कुल सही। 2019 के चुनाव से ठीक पहले रफाल का मुद्दा आया था जिसमें भ्रष्टाचार के आरोप लगे थे और अब 2024 से पहले अब अडानी का मुद्दा आ गया जिसमें फिर से उसी प्रकार के भ्रष्टाचार के आरोप लग रहे हैं और आज आप जानते हैं अभी संसद भी नहीं चल रही उसे लेकर। इन आरोपों को आप कैसे इस पर अपनी प्रतिक्रिया देंगे?
देखिए, आरोप के लिए कोई आधार होना चाहिए। राफेल में भी यही पाया गया, एकदम बिना किसी आधार के आरोप लगाए गए। ना जनता ने उस पर विश्वास किया, ना कोर्टों ने उस पर विश्वास किया। ये एक तरीके से जो फ्रस्ट्रेशन है, विपक्ष अपने आप को निहत्था महसूस कर रहा है कि 9 साल हो गए, कुछ कर नहीं पाए, कुछ हमारे खिलाफ वो सिद्ध नहीं कर पाए, तो हर छोटे इधर उधर की बात को वो हमारे ऊपर डालने की कोशिश करते हैं। परंतु अभी तक सरकार ने कोई गलत काम किया हो ऐसा तो कोई आरोप इस आज के दिन में नहीं लग रहा है। एक प्रकार से मैं अगर आपको पूछूं तो एक कॉन्ट्रैक्ट कोई बता दे, एक कोई लाभ कोई बता दे जो इस सरकार ने किसी को बिना ड्यू प्रोसेस के, बिना एक बड़े पारदर्शी सिस्टम के कुछ भी अलॉट किया हो किसी को। तो ये एक सरकार है जिसने सिस्टमैटिकली करप्शन को निपटाने के लिए, ख़त्म करने के लिए काम किया है और जनता उसको अप्रिशिएट करती है। और मैं समझता हूँ कि निराधार आरोपों के ऊपर आज जनता नहीं कोई इन्फ्लुएंस होती है, जनता सब समझती है।
जी, लेकिन जिस तरीके से सरकार ने इस पूरे मामले पर एक अजीब सी साइलेंस है सरकार में।
नहीं, साइलेंस नहीं, हमारे ऊपर तो कोई आरोप ही नहीं है।
सरकार में
कोई आरोप, हमारी सरकार पे क्या आरोप है?
सरकार पर यह आरोप है कि प्रधानमंत्री की गौतम अडानी के साथ निजी दोस्ती की वजह से उनको इतना लाभ हुआ है।
मेरी तो आपके साथ भी दोस्ती है, मेरी तो इस सदन में बैठे हुए कई आपके मित्रों के साथ, आपके पत्रकारों के साथ या इंडस्ट्री के लोगों के साथ दोस्ती है। तो क्या दोस्ती का मतलब है कि उनको कुछ फायदा मिल गया? लेकिन आज कोई भी व्यक्ति भारत में रहता है वो हमारा मित्र है। लेकिन 140 करोड़ लोग हमारे मित्र हैं और 140 करोड़ लोगों को लाभ पहुंचे उसके लिए सरकार निरंतर काम कर रही है।
लेकिन अगर मैं अचानक से 6 महीने के बाद एक प्राइवेट जेट में उड़ने लगूं तो फिर हो सकता है कि मेरे साथ दोस्ती पर आपके ऊपर
भाई अगर आप कुछ अच्छा इनोवेटिव आइडिया लाएं, हमारे देश में आज 100 से ज्यादा यूनिकॉर्न्स हैं जो एकदम साधारण मामूली लोगों ने शुरू किए, जिनके पास कुछ नहीं था। और एंटरप्रेन्योरशिप को इस देश में हमें प्रोत्साहन देना है या एंटरप्रेन्योरशिप को किल करना है? क्या ये देश सोशलिस्ट और कम्युनिस्ट आइडियोलॉजी की तरह सिर्फ सरकारी फैक्ट्रीज लगा के चलेगा या हम एंटरप्रेन्योरशिप को प्रोत्साहन देंगे? आज 100 से अधिक यूनिकॉर्न है। ये यूनिकॉर्न में लोग नए नए इनोवेटिव आइडियाज, अपनी मेहनत, दिन रात खून पसीना करके अपनी कंपनीज की वैल्यूएशन बनाई है। तो मेरे हिसाब से अगर हम एंटरप्रेन्योरशिप को ही किल कर देंगे तो ये देश कभी विकसित देश नहीं बन पाएगा। हाँ, अगर हमने कोई गलत काम किया हो तो स्पेसिफिक आरोप तो लगाएं। एक कॉन्ट्रैक्ट तो बताएं जो बिना ड्यू प्रोसेस के गया हो। इन्होंने सरकार पे तो कोई आरोप लगाए नहीं, हवा में आरोप लगाते जा रहे हैं।
All right, now Congress has fired the Adani aapke hain kaun jibe at the centre of the Adani shares crisis. Speaking exclusively to India Today, Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman has hit back, in fact, saying the Congress is spreading poison over this issue.
और के बारे में सोचने की फुर्सत किसे है? आपसे। सिर्फ आपसे ही तो हम ये गुस्ताखी कर सकते हैं।
क्यों? हम आपके हैं कौन?
What does this Rajshri blockbuster have to do with today's biggest political and financial story?
कह दूं? प्रेम बेटा?
In a country where politics and cinema mix more often than not, the first shot was fired by Rahul Gandhi's media man, Jairam Ramesh, where he repurposed the blockbuster film's title to question the Prime Minister on the Adani affair.
And yet SBI did.
Only hours later, the filmy metaphor echoed at the very top, with Finance Minister Nirmala invoking the film in a separate context.
Ages ago, this particular film had come. I can't even recollect its name, and it was suffused with the culture of a particular area and its culture. But every Indian enjoyed it. Even that India which is in South, which says, I am sorry, we can't understand Hindi, enjoyed that film. Why? It showed positiveness.
There's a saying in English that fools rush.
To which our global business editor Udayan Mukherjee interjected with this comment.
Aapke hai kaun is something which it seemed Gautam Adani was trying to ask the government when he stood in front of the flag and said it's an attack on India. But you did not answer that question, Mrs. Sitharaman. Jairam Ramesh is saying, Adani aapke hai kaun? That's the opposite.
With the Salman Madhuri starrer now fully established at the currency of this conversation, the finance minister engaged.
I am referring to that film because of the angularities which I am seeing, saying common people liked it because of this. But if that's the DNA there, you know, even a good hum aapke hai kaun can be twisted to defense also from the point of view of...
But it wasn't all film and frolic on the opposition's attack on the Modi government. The finance minister wasn't kidding when she issued this counter-strike on Team Rahul for his acidic attacks.
The year before that. I want leaderships, irrespective of the party they belong to tell people there's hope and I will do better and so on, rather than decry everything. And with that toxic language. And it is this set of people who speak that toxic language who claim they are having pyar ka dukan.
It turned out to be a high voltage Monday for Team Modi's warfare against Rahul Gandhi.
The tongue-in-cheek way in which reforms in India are being treated because it's being done by Modi and not being done by Congress. I don't want to get into that because it's all right, it's entertaining for a few minutes. I'm calling it Amritkal for myself, it's for all of us. You don't want something to be good for India? No, it's negative. I'm afraid of leaderships which only project everything in the negative light.
यही HAL है जिसे बहाना बनाकर हमारी सरकार पर तरह तरह के झूठे आरोप लगाए गए।
तब वो चुनावी बजट नहीं था, मगर इस साल वो चुनावी बजट।
As always, newsmakers of the moment drop their biggest takes on India Today and its platforms. And with the sardonic swipes going viral, expect the Congress to regroup for a fresh attack hours from now. A big election year looms ahead, so sit back, relax, and maybe grab some popcorn. Bureau Report, India Today.
We have some news coming in. Congress MP Adani Ranjan Chaudhary questioned Bengal Chief Minister and TMC Chief Mamata Banerjee's silence over the Hindenburg report on the Adani Group. There can be only one reason for Banerjee's silence: her closeness with Modi and new friendship with Adani. The Tajpur port is going to be built by the Adani Group and an MOU has been signed to that effect. Didi has promised all forms of help to the Adanis. She might have instructions from Modi or the Adanis to not do anything that can go against the group's interests. Okay, so we have Adani Ranjan Chaudhary, leader of the Congress in Lok Sabha, in fact taking on Mamata Banerjee. Not the first time that the Adani Ranjan Chaudhary faction of the Congress essentially has taken on Didi, even at a time when the Congress and the TMC were doing business together within the UPA. Even at that point in time and several other instances before, Adani Ranjan Chaudhary has taken on Mamata Banerjee. This time around, asking why is the TMC silent on the Hindenburg report, asking whether this has got to do with the fact that Adani is investing in Bengal and that Mamata Banerjee is growing close to Modi. That's the question that the Congress, at least a faction of the Congress, is asking. Didi is hand in glove with Modi and Adani is what Adani Ranjan Chaudhary, leader of the Congress in Lok Sabha and MP from Bengal, has said. Questioning Mamata Banerjee's silence over the Hindenburg report on the Adani Group. He says, and I quote, there can be only one reason for Banerjee's silence: her closeness with Modi and new friendship with Adani. The Tajpur port is going to be built by the Adani Group and a memorandum of understanding has been signed to that effect. Didi has promised all forms of help to the Adanis. She might have instructions from Modi or the Adanis to not do anything that is going to go against the group's interests. Can the government lower the top tax rate for individuals to 25% from 30% in the next few days? Well, that's the question. Business Today's TV's Siddharth Zarabi posed to Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman and Chairman of the Central Board of Direct Taxes Nitin Gupta at the India Today Business Today Budget Roundtable. The big news is that both of them have really not rejected this possibility outright.
The question I want to ask you is about the philosophy behind sweetening the new tax regime. Some people would definitely know that you made an attempt in 2020. It's not something that you decided to do in pre-election year. It didn't work. You have now improved upon the scheme. There are some people who are saying that it will end up, and that may not be your intention, disincentivizing savings, because we have been used over decades of using ATC and other exemptions. What is your own view about why was this change needed, and is it true that you want people to spend more and save less as the charge is leveled by some?
No, not really. I couldn't have anticipated that in 2023 I need to have people spend more and therefore bring it in 2020 itself and so on. No. It was brought in, the new tax regime was brought in because we wanted a more simplified, easy to comply, and above all have a reasonably low rate of tax to pay. And that particularly for that set of people who are in the low and middle class income band. And that couldn't have been done in one go. We wanted to come into it steadily. That is why even today we've retained the old exemption-rich old tax regime, whilst bringing and making it more attractive. Not only just bringing it 2 years ago, the new tax regime, but making it attractive by giving greater easy compliance, and also for those slabs which belong and to which majority of the Indian middle class belong to, with better favorable tax slabs. So it was brought in because of that. We didn't shut down the old tax regime because there are still people using it. And I'm not forcing anybody to come into the new tax regime, but certainly I like to make it more and more attractive so that people find merit in coming into a system which is lots more simpler.
Ma'am, a quick follow-up. Between the 20% and 30% slab, if you are up till 15 lakh, you are at 20. The moment you cross that, you go to 30. Corporate India is at 25%. The question people are asking, why isn't PIT the same as CIT, corporate tax rate of 25%? Why have you retained 30 still?
Interesting. Let me work on it next time.
You will work on this next time?
I'll try to
30,
say, I'll
25?
work, but I'm not promising anything.
No, but this is an idea that appeals to you, Finance Minister?
As I said, simpler and more attractive new regime. It can start and end at every stage of it.
So the Finance Ministry will consider in the months to come
I'm not saying
a reduction in personal income tax from 30%
No,
to
I'm not
25%.
saying that.
It will be applauded very loudly.
No, I don't want applause. I have to work.
We have some news coming in. Let's go straight to that. And these are developments from the Supreme Court of India. The apex court has started hearing just before Gowri's oath. Moments before the oath as the Madras High Court judge. The court's landmark hearing on plea against Victoria Gowri. These are developments from the Supreme Court of India as we speak. Getting in more details from Anisha Mathur, who is in fact with us. Anisha will be joining us in a moment from now. But these are details emerging from the Supreme Court of India. This is Victoria Gowri's appointment as judge of the Madras High Court. Supreme Court is in fact hearing the petitions challenging the appointment of Victoria Gowri as a Madras High Court judge. A bench headed by Chief Justice Chandrachud is going to hear the petitions. On Monday, in fact, senior advocate Raju Ramachandran had mentioned this matter for urgent listing. Agreeing to list this, in fact, today, this matter has been listed. Justice Chandrachud has disclosed that the Supreme Court Collegium has taken cognizance of the complaints about Gowri that came to his notice after the recommendation was made. Nalini is joining us with the very latest. Nalini, take us through the details of this matter. What really has happened?
Well, Sneha, it's really interesting what's happening because while on one side, the Supreme Court hearing this matter as to whether or not Victoria Gowri should even be appointed as a judge of the Madras High Court, parallelly, the oath-taking ceremony is all set to begin before the Madras High Court in just a few minutes from now. And in case the oath-taking ceremony takes place before the Supreme Court is able to decide on this matter, then there will be no option left except for the fact that to remove Victoria Gowri as a judge of the High Court, she will have to be impeached. So it's a really interesting series of developments that are happening. We were given to understand that the hearing is going to happen a little bit earlier than 10:30 a.m. But there was a change in bench at the last minute, after which the matter was listed before Justices Sanjeev Khanna as well as B.R. Gowri, who are currently hearing the matter. The hearing is underway before the Supreme Court, and what the lawyers for the petitioners are claiming before the Supreme Court is that Victoria Gowri is not fit to be appointed as a judge of the Madras High Court, keeping in mind the kind of statements that have come in from her. In fact, if we can just go back to seeing what Raju Ramachandran, the senior advocate who's appearing for the petitioners before the Supreme Court, is saying, he's talking about how when the matter was mentioned yesterday before the Supreme Court, the CJI thought it fit to list the matter for hearing from in the Supreme Court, but at the same time, on the website of the Madras High Court yesterday, late in the evening, there was a circular that was published that said that the oath-taking ceremony will take place at 10:35 a.m. The lawyers had attempted to get an urgent hearing from the Supreme Court anytime between last night to today morning, but that did not happen. And 5 minutes before 10:30 a.m., when the Supreme Court usually assembles, the bench of Justices Sanjeev Khanna and B.R. Gowri assembled and have taken up this matter for a hearing. One very important aspect that the Supreme Court categorically stated right at the very beginning is that it's not going to the issue of as to whether or not she's suitable to become a judge. So the lawyers will have to restrict their arguments on the aspect of eligibility. But that is something that they've been saying from the beginning, that the advocate Victoria Gowri, at least as of now, is not eligible to be appointed as a judge of the Madras High Court, because there is a likelihood of bias that might come in when she is deciding any cases because of the past statements that she's given in front of the media, regarding certain religious minorities. So as to whether or not that is a ground under which the Supreme Court can find her ineligible is something that remains to be seen, because remember, Sneha, yesterday the Chief Justice of India, Dr. D.Y. Chandrachud, had also said that after certain facts were brought before them, then after the name was recommended, the Supreme Court Collegium has taken cognizance of the matter and is looking into this entire aspect.
You know, also this is a serious allegation against her, you know, saying that she made comments against a particular religious group, and this is equal, you know, this is like almost like hate speech in that sense, isn't it?
Absolutely. That's exactly what their point is, that in the past, they've cited two past instances where Victoria Gowri has made certain statements to the media, and what they've said is that in these statements, there is an apprehension of bias that is prevalent against the Christian communities as well as the Muslim communities. So keeping this in mind, Victoria Gowri should not be appointed as a judge of the Madras High Court, because this is something that might lead to her bias in her judgments as well while hearing these cases. Now, this is an extremely crucial aspect, and it's an entirely different point altogether as to how this was missed by the collegium when these names were considered for elevation in the very first place. Because remember, there is a strenuous series of background checks through the Intelligence Bureau that goes on before any name is put up for the recommendation. But at the same time, we are not exactly clear on as to whether or not this is something that was flagged in the IB reports that was sent to the collegium. What we do know, however, is that the Supreme Court Collegium on the 17th of January went ahead and recommended Victoria Gowri's name for elevation. But at the same time, they specifically asked that there was another name that they had reiterated at that point. That person, Advocate John R. Satyam, should be given the priority when it comes to appointment. But John R. Satyam's name has been ignored by the centre. They had processed several other names, 4 others, including Victoria Gowri, in a speedy manner so that the entire process could be furthered. But at the same time, almost parallelly, there were petitions that were also filed before the Supreme Court challenging her appointment, because ever since her name came up, there were protests that were happening in Madras against her appointment, saying that she should not be allowed to take oath as the Madras High Court judge. But now we're just about a couple of minutes away from the oath-taking ceremony in the Madras High Court to begin. And so far, we've not seen any order coming from the Supreme Court. The hearing, like I was telling you, is currently underway. Raju Ramchandran is saying that this case he's putting forth only specifically on the basis of eligibility of Victoria Gowri. She is not eligible to be appointed as a judge of the Constitutional Court, and that is something that the court should take into consideration. In case the Supreme Court says the presidential warrant of appointment, is going to be a dramatic twist of events, because only just a few minutes before she is set to take oath will such an order be coming in from the Supreme Court. It remains to be seen what happens in the next few minutes, because they're going to be extremely crucial for what the future career trajectory for Victoria Gowri is going to be.
Well, absolutely. She's all set to take oath as a High Court judge in Madras. And my colleague Pramod also is getting us more details on that. Pramod, this is a you know, this moment really is nail-biting, given that things are moving swiftly in the Supreme Court of India. On the other hand, things are moving in Chennai as well, where Victoria Gowri is all set to take oath as a High Court judge. Tell us more about the developments from inside the court right now.
It surely is. It surely is, and we are inside the meeting hall, and things are actually moving rapidly here. You could see that all lawyers and everyone have assembled at the spot, and on the right side we have the door through which the judges and the personnel who are going to be sworn in as additional judges are going to enter. In fact, we are waiting for nearly 10 minutes for them to enter. The proceedings are supposed to start by 10:35, and the time currently is 10:37, and everyone else have assembled here except for the judges and the personnel who are to be sworn in as additional judges. We are also hearing that there could be a delay, but this is not confirmed, but there could be a possible delay, maybe considering that they could wait for the Supreme Court's decision on the matter. But so far, everything is present and everybody's set for the personnel to be sworn in as additional judges inside the hall at Madras High Court.
Well, in fact, we're getting in these pictures from the Madras High Court. And if at all, Nalini, she were to take oath as a Madras High Court judge today, how this process is going to move then in Supreme Court is also going to change drastically, given that Advocate Victoria Gowri then is going to be Justice Victoria Gowri, isn't it?
She will become an additional judge of the Madras High Court, and there are things that we're going to roll on, and it's being said that the AIULU, Advocates Union of India, that's the one, especially A.N.G. Prasad and Vaige were the ones who initially brought out these cases against Victoria Gowri, showing the information on social media, allegedly her talking against different communities and calling bringing all these things out. But here it looks like everything is going as per procedure, and that's what the entire place is pretty quiet and silent. Everyone, including former judges, PP, Attorney General, everybody are here and they are looking at that particular door because they are waiting for the judges and the personnel to enter. But so far, it's been already 4 minutes past 10:35 and no one has entered. This itself is a very big kind of like everyone is looking there because we are waiting because everything here happens as per time, and so it looks like they are also probably waiting for what's happening in the Supreme Court.
All right, I'm just going to come back to you in a few moments from now. These are pictures coming in from the Madras High Court that Pramod is getting us, and Nalini is also with us for the very latest as far as the developments from inside the Supreme Court. Nalini, if you could give us a sense of how things are moving right now inside the court, what exactly is Justice Gowri also saying?
Well, a very interesting aspect is being put forth by Justice Gowri, where he has gone on to say that he himself has been a political person in the past, but now he's been a judge for the past 20 years. So for the petitioners just to say that Victoria Gowri had political inclinations or was associated with any political party in the past is not ground enough for them to reconsider as to whether or not her name should have been appointed. What the petitioners are claiming at this point is that in a recent communication that was put forth by the centre to the collegium, they had specifically said that social media posts made by prospective candidates to be selected as judges should be a ground to determine their ineligibility. And this the centre had said in reference to other names that were recommended by the collegium, saying that they had made social media posts or shared articles that were critical either of the government or of the Prime Minister that shows that they have a political inclination. But at the same time, the Supreme Court in response to that has said that posting social media articles is not a ground, is something that the collegium had made it clear in one of their resolutions, where they had said that these things should not be considered by the government while deciding as to whether or not a person is fit to be appointed as a judge of the Madras High Court. So that is one aspect that they are not taking into consideration, the fact that she has made social media posts. But as to whether or not the statements made by her in her previous media interviews account as hate speech against minorities, and will that be a ground for her appointment to be annulled at this point, is something that still remains to be seen. The hearing, like I told you, is still currently underway before the Supreme Court, and by the process of hierarchy, technically the Madras High Court should not go ahead with the oath-taking ceremony, keeping in mind that the hearing before the Supreme Court is still underway. But because the stage is set for the oath-taking ceremony, a circular was also issued, and there is no stay on that circular so far from the Supreme Court. They are not bound, of course, by continuing with the oath-taking ceremony. But if there is an order that comes in from the Supreme Court any minute now that stops the oath-taking ceremony, then it will remain to be seen exactly how this case is going to proceed. Will the Supreme Court have a longer hearing to determine the finer aspects of these petitions, specifically taking into account the statements that are objected to by the petitioners of Victoria Gowri, or at the same time whether the Supreme Court is going to allow for this to happen? Because remember, Sneha, once Victoria Gowri takes oath as a judge of the Madras High Court, the Supreme Court cannot interfere whatsoever in the issue. The only process to remove her as a judge of the Madras High Court will be through the Parliament, where the process of impeachment will have to be conducted. So it remains to be seen. I'm given to understand that the Madras High Court oath-taking ceremony is just beginning right now. These are the visuals that we are even getting on our screen live from the Madras High Court, where we can see all of the judges who have gathered there for the oath-taking ceremony. So the oath-taking ceremony has kicked off. This is the big breaking news that we are getting you to our viewers live right now. These are fast-paced developments that are happening, even as the Supreme Court hearing is underway as to whether or not this appointment is even valid. The oath-taking ceremony in the Madras High Court has kicked off according to the schedule, and it will remain to be seen exactly as to whether or not the Supreme Court can pass an order before Victoria Gowri takes an oath as a judge of the Madras High Court.
Well, absolutely. We are in fact staying with these pictures from the Madras High Court and try and go across to Pramod also for more details on that. Pramod, if you can hear me. All right, Nalini continues to be with us. Nalini, explain to our viewers, if Victoria Gowri were to take over as a judge of the Madras High Court, in terms of this matter playing out in Supreme Court, on whether she's fit to be appointed or not, given the hate speech that she's made and the political positions she's taken in the past, how will things move from there?
Well, Sneha, like I just told you, in case Victoria Gowri goes ahead and takes the oath as a judge of the Madras High Court, then the only process to remove her then will be through impeachment, which will then have to be initiated by the Parliament. The Constitution specifically says that no sitting judge of any High Court or the Supreme Court can be removed through any other process except for that of impeachment. And that is not something that the Parliament in the past has really ventured into. There have been only 2 known cases of High Court judges getting impeached, and even those 2 judges had submitted their resignation even before the impeachment proceedings could be completed. Remember, there was also an attempt to initiate impeachment proceedings against the former Chief Justice of India, Deepak Mishra, but that was something that was shot down by the Parliament and could not be proceeded with. But at the same time, in case the oath is administered to Victoria Gowri today, before the Supreme Court is able to pass its order in this case, then it means that she will only and only can be removed as a judge through the process of impeachment and not any other way. I'm given to understand that we have Victoria Gowri.
I, Lakshmana Chandra Victoria Gowri,
having been appointed as additional judge of the High Court of Madras,
having been appointed as additional judge of the High Court of Madras,
do swear in the name of God
do swear in the name of God
that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the Constitution of India as by law established,
that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the Constitution of India as by law established,
that I will uphold the sovereignty and integrity of India,
that I will uphold the sovereignty and integrity of India,
that I will duly and faithfully and to the best of my ability, knowledge and judgment
that I will duly and faithfully and to the best of my ability, knowledge and judgment
perform the duties of my office without fear or favor,
perform the duties of my office without fear or favor,
affection or ill will, and that I will uphold the Constitution and the laws.
And that I will uphold the Constitution and the laws.
Sit down and do that. Madam?
Okay, so we have Victoria Gowri taking oath as the High Court judge in Madras. These are pictures of her oath-taking ceremony, which is in fact underway right now. We have Victoria Gowri as a judge of the Madras High Court, even as things are moving fairly swiftly in the Supreme Court of India. Very interesting and rather unprecedented developments. Pramod Madhav.
By virtue of power vested in me by Class 1 of Article 2 of the Constitution of India, I, Rahul Gandhi, President of India, do hereby appoint. Thank you, my lord. Now I read the warrant of appointment of Thiru Thillaipakkam Bagu Kudumbi Balaji. By virtue of
Okay,
power
Nalini continues to be with us. Nalini, this is unprecedented. Has this ever happened before, where we have an advocate taking oath as the judge of the Madras High Court or any court for that matter, and in Supreme Court there is actually a parallel hearing to get a sense of whether she is fit to be the judge or not?
Well, absolutely, Sneha. This is unprecedented in every sense of the word because such dramatic turn of events, I don't think have ever been witnessed in this long-standing tussle that we have been seeing between the centre and the judiciary over the issue of appointments. Even after the Supreme Court had specifically stated yesterday that the collegium had taken note of this matter and they were currently reconsidering as to whether or not Victoria Gowri should be appointed as a judge of the High Court. The circular came out that she is going to be taking oath as a judge at 10:35 a.m. today in the Madras High Court, and that's precisely what has happened. Without any order coming in from the Supreme Court so far, Victoria Gowri has taken oath as a judge of the Madras High Court. Now, the Supreme Court, after an oath has been administered to Victoria Gowri, the Supreme Court cannot possibly come out and strike down the presidential warrant of appointment because now she officially becomes a sitting judge of the Madras High Court. But at the same time, the hearing before the Supreme Court is currently underway. The lawyers are arguing. It remains to be seen how this hearing concludes as to whether or not the Supreme Court is even going to find it fit to indulge into this matter because there was a clear sense of urgency that was made out by the petitioners, but despite that there was no urgent hearing that was really granted. The earliest that they began hearing the matter was at 10:25 a.m., which was only 10 minutes prior to the oath-taking ceremony. So it shows that the Supreme Court, either on the administrative side, wasn't really sure about how to go about this case because, like you pointed out, Sneha, it's unprecedented in every sense of the term. And at the same time, with no stay coming in on the presidential order, the oath-taking ceremony has been conducted for Victoria Gowri. Remember, there are 4 other people who are also taking oath as the judges, which is why the oath-taking ceremony is still underway before the Madras High Court. But at the same time, Victoria Gowri has officially become a sitting judge of the Madras High Court. This means that if there is any possibility of her removal, it has to be done through impeachment. And if there is any order to the contrary that comes in from the Supreme Court, it might have little to no effect now regarding the appointment process itself.
Be with us, Nalini. I'll just come back to you. In fact, Advocate Swapnil Kothari is also now joining us. Thank you for your time. Your reaction to the developments from today, rather unprecedented. We have the Supreme Court hearing the matter on whether Victoria Gowri is fit to be a judge of a High Court or not. And at the same time, she's already taken oath, sir.
Sneha, this hearing before the Supreme Court now is merely an academic exercise. Now that she's taken the oath, she's officially now the judge, or the additional judge of the Madras High Court. It's a little disturbing and embarrassing that you have these kind of frivolous petitions which are there, and the surround sound is very, very inappropriate remarks made by the Law Minister, by the Vice President of India against the collegium system. I hope this was not a misogynistic petition to say that just because a woman was becoming a judge. I hope it was merely directed at the collegium system, because that is the way I look at it more so, that it was not directed to Victoria Gowri, but it was more directed to the collegium system, which recommended her, which the centre then approved. So in some form or the other, in the past couple of months, you have been seeing very, very heinous and harmful barbs being thrown at the judiciary. Let me tell you that the judiciary, and especially the Supreme Court, whether you like the collegium system or not, that is there for all of us to accept. There is a way that you go ahead in the Constitution, you try to bring out a legislation the way you came out with the NGSC, which was junked by the Supreme Court. And you did not challenge that judgment. You can come out with another one and then try to do away with the collegium system, but that's a separate way. That's a legal route of doing it. This is not the correct way that you throw barbs at the judiciary, especially when it is the repository of 125 crore people's trust today. I'm sorry to say that the executive and the legislature are doing their job, but not doing as much as what the Supreme Court has been doing in the past since the time of its inception. You've seen great judgments emanating out of that. The collegium system is there to stay until you come out with an amendment to that. 32 judges are there. The bench strength is 34 judges. It is extremely imperative for the centre to approve the recommendations made by the Supreme Court so that people like you and me, who are honest, simple litigants, do not suffer because of lack of judges. And the dispensation of justice is taken, at the crossroads, or is held to ransom. This is ransom. And this is something which I do not approve of. You have no interest, basically, in the appointment of Victoria Gowri, whether she should be appointed as a judge or not. Your petition is frivolous. Basically, the whole idea is to attack the judicial, the collegium system. There have been precedents in the past. Somebody pointed out to me Kumar Padma's case. Now, in that case, the situation was different. There was an interim stay on that for the simple reason that apparently some great expenses had been made, and somewhere there was a doubt as far as the integrity of the person was concerned.
Okay.
But to have a political affiliation, I mean, I'm a practicing advocate. I've practiced in the United States. I've practiced in London. I'm practicing here now since the past 20 years. I have political affiliations in the sense that I like to vote for the BJP. I like Mr. Narendra Modi as a Prime Minister. How the hell can that be made as an argument to my appointment as a judge tomorrow if I want to become one? I need to be 35 years of age. I need to be a citizen of India. I need to have practiced in any high court. I must have an LLB or an LLM degree. I need to have practiced in a high court for at least 10 years. Those are the qualifications. That's it. The Constitution does not prescribe that you cannot have a political affiliation or a political slant.
Okay, that's very interesting. I'm going to thank you, however, for the moment, but we'll take the discussion forward with my colleague Anisha also. First of all, Anisha, give us a sense of the latest developments, Anisha, from the Supreme Court where this matter again is being heard.
Well, Sneha, the Supreme Court has dismissed these petitions. Remember, 2 petitions before the Supreme Court challenging the appointment of LC Victoria Gowri. And the Supreme Court bench of Justices B.R. Gowri and Sanjeev Khanna has dismissed these petitions, saying that at this stage, raising these arguments seems to question the collegium itself. It seems like the petitioners are trying to say that the collegium did not take a decision, did not have any information when they took the decision, and that is a very dangerous precedent to set. In fact, the court has very clearly observed that any allegations regarding LC Victoria Gowri's conduct would have been before the collegium, would have been before the consultee judges, would have also been before the Madras High Court collegium, which had sent in that recommendation. And therefore, at this stage, it would send a very wrong message. Interestingly also, and I was listening to what our guest was just saying, with regard to political affiliation, etc. What we need to remember is that these petitioners have not raised the issue regarding her political affiliation. In fact, this is something that they repeated again and again during the short hearing that has just concluded. They said that we do not have a problem with political affiliations. There have been multiple judges since the 1950s who have had political affiliations, including several who were, in fact, members of parliament or members of legislative assembly or office bearers of various political parties.
Okay.
The issue in this particular case has not been about her political affiliation, but about certain articles that she had written where, according to the petitioners, which these articles constitute hate speech because they had raised certain statements, issued certain sentiments regarding the minority communities of Muslims and Christians in the country. And that is why the petitioners were again and again saying that since these sentiments have been expressed, therefore, according to the petitioners, LC Victoria Gowri is ineligible to take oath on the Constitution, which is a very interesting...
The discussion herein is on the kind of hate speech that has been made in the past by Victoria Gowri, and that really is a contention. We'll continue to talk about that in a few moments from now. Anisha is getting us all of those details. Nalini also continues to be with us. For the moment, it's time for a quick break here. Back in just 2 minutes.
I, Lakshmana Chandra Victoria Gowri,
having been appointed as additional judge of the High Court of Madras,
having been appointed as additional judge of the High Court of Madras,
do swear in the name of God,
do swear in the name of God,
that I will bear true faith and allegiance.
The only woman designer to have ever showcased at Paris Couture Week. She did that last year. This year, she did it off calendar amidst many other designers. Abyss. Her collection was deeply inspired by what lies under the vastness of the ocean. As a diver, she loves exploring the colors in the beautiful world that lies under the ocean. And while her showcased collection may outwardly have reflected that, At a quote-unquote deeper level, it was all about rediscovery of the inner self. Art meets couture has always been at the core of Vaishali's creations, and the flow of the outfit is very similar to the way the water exists. Hand weaves by Indian artisans, coding techniques, choice of sustainable fabrics, and Indian heritage at the core of what she creates. The world has taken notice of how sustainable her creations are. She herself wore one of her outfits in a typical Indian hue with her sculptural technique. It was a dress for the Western world, and for Indians, it was a twist to our heritage saris with the drape coming over her shoulder. Teamed with vintage Indian jewelry and tin cans, very interestingly used in villages, made fashionable as bags, a showcase of Indian art and craft got pulled off by Vaishali in her work. Interestingly, Vaishali Shadangule has never showcased at FDCI India Couture Week, and she does hope to do that very, very soon.
What I want viewers around the world to know this, and consumers rather around the world to know this, that when you're picking up a piece from a designer, whether it is you, whether it is, you know, some of the other stalwarts coming in from India who are also doing some fabulous work, and it's stunning, right? They need to understand the story that goes behind each and every one of these pieces, because how many brands today can stand up and say, number one, we're completely sustainable?
Designers, they have really big role to play to, I think, educate, and whatever they are selling, the story behind that piece, you know, it should be there very transparently.
While all her work is sustainable, she takes that beyond fashion into social impact, storytelling, and art. In fact, her flagship store in Mumbai stands testimony to sustainable decor. In Mumbai, Chaiti Narula for India Today.
You are watching India Today.
Very good morning. You're watching India Today TV. I'm Sneha Mordani. A quick check of the top stories first in this edition. As Gowri takes over as Madras High Court judge, top court dismisses plea against televisioner Victoria Gowri. As High Court judge saying stalling Gowri as judge will be disrespect to collegium. Adani storm rages as 3 sessions disrupted opposition demands debate. 90s Bollywood hit becomes a political taunt. Congress is asking the government, hum Adani ke hai kaun? Nirmala says Congress is spreading poison. HAL political crossfire escalates. Opposition's HAL Rafale claims fall flat. 4 years on, the Prime Minister says chopper unit slap on HAL liars. Pakistan cricket legend Javed Miandad's shocking anti-India tirade says Bhaad mein jaye India as BCCI refuses to go to Pakistan for Asia Cup. Death toll in Turkey earthquake mounts above 4,000. Thousands of buildings have been reduced to rubble as 3 earthquakes hit Turkey in just 24 hours. We have some news coming in. Opposition relents on letting Parliament function end in sight. To Parliament logjam on Adani. All opposition parties to take part in the debate. Only up to skip Parliament debate on motion of thanks is what we've been given to understand. So there is a bit of a split there also in the opposition, though possibly end in sight. to the logjam on Adani. There's going to be a debate on the motion of thanks, as always is the norm. And listen in fact to what the speaker has had to say.
तो मैं सदन नहीं चलाना चाहते, सदन की कार्रवाई 12 बजे तक के लिए स्थगित करता हूं। आप सदन नहीं चलाना चाहते।
Lok Sabha has been adjourned. You just heard from the speaker there, where Lok Sabha has been adjourned till 12 o'clock. So how are things going to really move from here on, given that it appears the opposition is relenting as far as the demand for a debate is concerned, willing to have a debate on the motion of thanks, wherein the government said these issues of national importance can be raised. Why can't they do it at that point in time?
2022-23 के संबंध में 360वें प्रतिवेदन के अंतर्विश्व सिफारिशों।
So is there an end in sight as far as the logjam in Parliament and stalling of legislative business, including the debate and the motion of thanks, is concerned? Is the opposition then going to take part in the debate? It does appear. Apart from the Aam Aadmi Party, it does appear that opposition parties will be taking part in the debate on motion of thanks as far as the budget is concerned. Opposition appears to be relenting. The constant demand has been that of a JPC. However, amid the din, Lok Sabha has been adjourned till noon, is what we know. AAP is to skip the debate on motion of thanks, is what we've been given to understand. Opposition parties are going to be taking part in the debate. It does appear for the moment that tracks have again appeared in opposition over the House tragedy. In fact, a strategy, whether there's going to be a debate or not, that is something that remains to be seen. But at least some members of the opposition are willing, in fact, is what we've been told, to take part in the debate. This is a discussion, in fact, on the motion of thanks on the President's address.
I rise to lay on the table the Hindi and English version of the further action taken statement of the Standing Committee on Water Resources as listed against my name in the today's list of business.
Honorable members, as you might be aware, a massive earthquake measuring 7.8 magnitude on Richter scale ripped through the countries of Turkey and Syria on February 6, 2023, followed by a series of earthquakes which caused huge devastation, loss of precious lives, and damage to infrastructure in both the countries. Honorable members, as reported in media, more than 4,000 people have lost their lives and thousands have been injured in both these countries. Many more are still trapped under the rubble, and the toll of lives, unfortunately, is likely to rise. Governments around the world are pledging assistance, deploying.
Lok Sabha has been adjourned till 12. Is what we know. Well, the opposition, though, has decided to take part in the discussion as far as the motion of thanks to the President's address is concerned. It is to take place today. However, the lower house has been adjourned till 12. It does appear that the opposition also is split as far as their own strategy on the floor of the house is concerned. Divergent views seems to be emerging on how this matter needs to be dealt with, on how the government can be put on the mat in both houses over the allegations against the Adani group. Proceedings have been stalled for 3 days now. Aam Aadmi Party, however, it appears is not going to take part in the discussion as far as the motion of thanks to the President's speech is concerned. Clearly not keen to let the steam off. BRS also appears to be having a different sort of a strategy. We'll in fact get you more details on what next as far as opposition parties are concerned, but they continue to turn the heat up on the Modi government over the Adani stock meltdown. In a scathing attack, Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman slammed Congress for always spreading hate and spitting poison, is what she said. Hitting out at the Modi government, Rahul Gandhi has said the Prime Minister will do his best to avert a discussion on the Adani issue in Parliament, saying that the country should know what power is behind the billionaire businessman. Congress has been asking for debate on the Adani controversy in Parliament ever since the session began. After 3 days of disruptions on this matter, Parliament could begin a discussion on the motion of thanks today itself in the President's address.
Sir, yesterday the government tried to reach out to the opposition leaders.
I don't know. Who said that?
Prahlad Joshi met Mr. Adhir Ranjan Chaudhary, T.R. Balu, and in fact, in order to make a consensus on this logjam. Do you think that Parliament will run today, sir?
Let us see. You are giving me the news now. They have met it. If they have met it, I don't know what they have talked. Once they talk it, and we'll all talk it over and do it.
So you firmly understand that everything should be suspended and Adani issue should be discussed.
That is what exactly a focused discussion on Adani is what we have been requesting for last 1 week. Now, if yesterday they have talked something else, I am going there only. I know about it. And now we are all together, opposition. So we will take a joint act.
Rahul Gandhi yesterday said that it is Prime Minister Narendra Modi who himself doesn't want discussion on Adani.
I am saying that. Why should Rahul Gandhi say that? I am saying they have been running away for the last 3 days from the Parliament. I have given my notice for discussion. I made 3 requests and the chairman has rejected. That means what? The government wants to run away from the discussion.
Opposition सिर्फ हंगामा मचा रही है, तो इससे जो दिखाई दे रहा है, मुझे लगता है ऑपोजिशन का काम सिर्फ हंगामा मचाना है, काम करना नहीं है, क्योंकि जनता के हित में काम करने के लिए फ्लोर बना हुआ है, ना कि अपनी राजनीति करने के लिए ये फ्लोर बना है। और ऑपोजिशन यही चाहती है कि जो भी सरकार, मोदी जी की गवर्नमेंट, इनके मिनिस्ट्री जो भी काम ला रहे हैं वो लोगों के सामने ना आ पाए तो लोग इनके फेवर में और हो जाएंगे। शायद वो सब चीज़ें ध्यान में रखते हुए राजनीति का ये बहुत बड़ा काम ऑपोजिशन कर रही है, पर मुझे लगता है इससे हमारे लोगों का नुकसान हो रहा है, तो ये चीज़ें समझना बहुत ज़रूरी है।
ये 7 साल में ही इनकी सरकार विवादों में घिर गया था। मोदी 9 साल में यूपीए सरकार पूरे कार्यकाल विवादों में घिरा रहा। अब मोदी की 9 साल की सरकार उम्मीदों में घिरा रहा। बजट में इनको कुछ मिला नहीं, तो कहां से अदानी, अब अदानी का जवाब दें? वो तो कह रहा है कि मुझे राजीव गांधी ने पहला ब्रेक दिया है और बहस के लिए सरकार तैयार।
Meanwhile, Congress has fired the Adani Aapke Hai Kaun Jai by the centre over the Adani shares crisis. Speaking exclusively to India Today, Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman has hit back, saying the Congress is spreading poison over this issue. Listen in.
Hum Aapke Hai Kaun is something which it seemed Gautam Adani was trying to ask the government when he stood in front of the flag and said it's an attack on India. But you did not answer that question, Mrs. Sitharaman.
Jairam Ramesh is saying Adani Aapke Hai Kaun. That's the opposition's charge. He actually said Hum Aapke Hai Kaun. I mean, it's ironical of all the films that you could have mentioned. You mentioned the one film which is currently being used by the Congress to attack your government.
That's the point. That's exactly the point. I am referring to that film because of the angularities which I am seeing, saying common people liked it because of this. But if that's the DNA there, you know, even a good Hum Aapke Hai Kaun can be twisted to...
हम मुद्दे पे बात कर रहे हैं क्योंकि जेपीसी पहले भी हो चुके हैं। 1987 से आज तक 9 जेपीसी लगभग हो चुके हैं। तो जेपीसी की मांग करना ये कोई नाजायज है क्या? हम तो जेपीसी की मांग कर रहे हैं। सरकार को अगर कुछ चीज पे कोई सरकार को परवाह नहीं है, सरकार बेदाग रहे तो सरकार जेपीसी की इजाजत दे सकता है आराम से। जब विपक्ष में थे कुछ कहते थे, पक्ष में आके मतलब सत्ता पे आके कुछ उल्टा कहते हैं।
Some news coming in from Parliament. Congress MP from Wayanad, Rahul Gandhi, is to speak on motion of thanks today on behalf of the Congress. He, in fact, is the first speaker from the Congress party. Remember, political parties are given an opportunity from the opposition also to, in fact, speak on the motion of thanks of the President's address. This really is the norm in Parliament. And Rahul Gandhi from the Congress is going to speak on the motion of thanks. He is going to be the first speaker from Congress. There will be others as well. And Mosmi has more details on that story. Mosmi, what next as far as the opposition's own comments on the President's address is concerned? They are expected to raise the issue of Adani, given that the government did indicate that, listen, there is going to be a discussion on the motion of thanks and we can raise these matters of national importance even at that forum.
Sneha, the news that is coming in is that both the houses have been adjourned till 12 o'clock. Apparently, the adjournment notices that were given in the Raj Sabha, the chairman didn't accept those notices on the same grounds that he had rejected them yesterday. As far as the Lok Sabha is concerned, we are told that the speaker didn't allow Adhir Ranjan Chaudhary to speak. He wanted to say something, and the speaker said that if you're not interested in running business of the house, then we will adjourn it till 12. So both the houses adjourned till 12. The address, motion of thanks will happen at 2 o'clock. And of course, all the leaders of the political parties would like to put their point forward. Rahul Gandhi there, after the success of the so-called success of the Bharat Jodo Yatra, would be speaking on the motion of thanks, but that will be much later. Politics still on as far as the entire Adani issue is concerned. There is a bit of division in the opposition. The Aam Aadmi Party there not agreeing to the fact that we should allow discussion in the Parliament. The Congress and other 14 parties believe that the motion of thanks should be allowed to happen, but a couple of parties differing from that stand. But we are likely to see the House function post-noon, Sneha.
House is going to function post-noon, but there is not going to be any change in demands of a JPC. Also, that is something that the Congress and a handful of other opposition parties are also insisting on. Either a JPC or a Supreme Court-led probe, isn't it, in this entire matter?
Absolutely, that's a demand that the opposition is sticking to. The Joint Parliamentary Committee probe is a pertinent point that the opposition wants to make. In fact, apart from the motion of thanks, the opposition hasn't let go of that issue because they believe that once a JPC is formed, the government will be put on the mat. But with the government being absolutely attacking as far as, all the accusations of the opposition regarding the Adani row is concerned, it's unlikely that the government would bow down to the demands of the opposition. So we'll have to see how that icebreaker is reached. But at this point of time, the motion of thanks has been put on top priority, not only by the government, but also major opposition parties. Sneha.
Yes, Mosmi, be with us. Just coming back to you in a moment from now because we have some more news coming in. Let's go straight to that. Congress MP Adhir Ranjan Chaudhary has questioned Bengal Chief Minister and TMC Chief Mamata Banerjee's silence over the Hindenburg report on the Adani Group. There can be only one reason for Banerjee's silence, he says, a closeness with Modi and new friendship with Adani. Mosmi continues to be with us. Mosmi, in fact, Adhir Ranjan Chaudhary again is known as somebody who's been extremely critical of Mamata Banerjee even when she was a part of UPA 1 and 2. Herein the allegation is that the West Bengal government is benefiting because the Tajpur port is going to be built by the Adani Group, and Mamata Banerjee is not critical of Adani because of this very reason. Okay, trying to connect with Mosmi in a few moments from now, listening to what Adhir Ranjan Chaudhary had to say.
मुझे लगता है कि अदानी के साथ उनका अच्छा रिश्ता है, ताल्लुकात है, क्योंकि बंगाल में एक ताजपुर बोल के एक पोर्ट बन रहे हैं और अदानी जी के साथ ममता जी की आजकल काफी रिश्ते में काफी बदलाव आए हैं। सिर्फ अदानी जी से नहीं, मोदी जी से भी आए हैं। इसलिए ममता बनर्जी आजकल ना मोदी जी के खिलाफ और ना अदानी जी के खिलाफ जिस तरीके से रवैया, जिस तरीके से रुख अपनाना ममता जी की अपने सियासत में एक शैली बनते थे, उनको हम लोग बंगाल में कहते कि फाइटर, अग्नि कन्या, तो मतलब अभी ठंड पड़ गए। मोदी जी के खिलाफ कुछ नहीं बोलते और अदानी जी के खिलाफ भी कुछ नहीं मुझे लगता है कि अदानी के
Okay, Adhir Ranjan Chaudhary is the leader of the Congress in Lok Sabha and a senior leader of the party from West Bengal. He's always been critical of Mamata Banerjee and the TMC. Now here is a specific allegation. He says the Tajpur port is being built actually by the Adani group. A memorandum of understanding has been signed, and that's the reason why the TMC's strategy and Didi's strategy is very different. She's silent on the Adanis is what he says. We'll continue to keep a very close eye on all of those developments from Parliament and outside. For the moment, it's time for a quick commercial break here.
You are watching India Today.
Okay, so I have good news and good news. The good news is that I found one of the best cups of coffee here in Bengaluru. And the other good news is the fact that I'm using ChatGPT, and it might replace Google, but it's not going to take away my job on Tech Today anytime soon. That's because I asked it to write the script for the next episode of Tech Today. I've gotten all sorts of weird responses, but we don't script the show. So that's the good news here for ChatGPT. But more importantly, can it replace Google? That's what we want to find out. Here's a Tech Today special.
ChatGPT, OpenAI's latest breakthrough, has taken the world by a storm. It has over 13 million unique visitors every day, and the platform has varied use cases, from debugging code to writing recipes. Moreover, people over the internet claim that it's the next big thing and might soon replace Google as the destination for all your questions. So do you also think that? Do you think ChatGPT can actually replace Google when it comes to answering your questions? Moreover, how accurate are the answers given by ChatGPT? Well, if you have all those questions, don't worry, because Tech Today is going to give you the answer for them. We asked ChatGPT as well as Google that I have 102 temperature, what do I do? As you can see, Google gives me links to various websites like the Mayo Clinic, the Cleveland Clinic, WebMD, etc., trying to define my symptoms and trying to point out what answer could be, what the reason behind these symptoms could be, and it also specifies a few medicines. ChatGPT, on the other hand, gives me a varied and a detailed list of things what I should do. It tells me I have to stay hydrated, I have to rest. It tells me a few medicines as well. Moreover, ChatGPT also has a disclaimer that although it's giving me these answers, this cannot be replaced, or this cannot be a replacement to professional help. And this is something I'm not seeing on Google, because Google is just giving me links to other websites which might have the answer to my question. Our next question is a little bit interesting. We tell Google as well as ChatGPT that we have X, Y, and Z ingredients. What can we make out of this? What dinner can we make for ourselves? So whereas Google gives us links to various websites or videos where these ingredients have been used in the recipes, ChatGPT gives us specific details, and it gives us 4 recipes where these ingredients, potatoes, onions, flour, and salt, have been used. So as you can see, ChatGPT is giving us specific answers to all our questions which are tailor-made for us, whereas Google is leading us to various sites where we could probably find the answer to our questions.
You are watching India Today.
We are have some news coming in at this hour. The Aam Aadmi Party is protesting. In fact, we're getting those visuals that are coming in. These are pictures coming in of the AAP protesting outside the Delhi BJP office. Well, the issue here is the war of words that both of these parties have been engaged in. Pankaj Jain has more details on that story. This is the Delhi dangle over choosing the mayor, and that again has not, achieved. That again has not been achieved as far as the election of the mayor, Pankaj, is concerned. The BJP and the Aam Aadmi Party continue to be at loggerheads on this matter.
बिल्कुल एक तरह से वार ऑफ प्रोटेस्ट है आम आदमी पार्टी और बीजेपी के बीच, और यहाँ पे जिस तरीके से दोनों ही दल एक दूसरे के खिलाफ प्रदर्शन कर रहे हैं, देखना ये भी होगा कि इसका क्या फायदा होगा, क्योंकि सुप्रीम कोर्ट पे भी अब मामला चला गया है। आम आदमी पार्टी की जो स्पोक पर्सन है वो हमारे साथ हैं। आप इंडिया टुडे पर लाइव है, ये बताइए कि क्या मांग आप लोग यहाँ पे कर रहे हैं?
See, it is very obvious. The people of Delhi have voted for Aam Aadmi Party. We have a clear majority, but the Bharatiya Janata Party is not letting us choose the mayor. And today, as a citizen of Delhi, I am very angry. If there is a problem in my neighborhood, whom do I go to when there is no elected mayor in Delhi? And this is not happening just in Delhi. It is happening all over the country, be it BMC in Maharashtra, be it BBMP in Karnataka, everywhere. Bharatiya Janata Party is messing with the urban local bodies. They are ruling these bodies with the help of babus. These bodies are to be ruled by elected representative, not babus.
आम आदमी पार्टी ने लेकिन सुप्रीम कोर्ट का रुख भी किया है, तो आपको लगता है कि सदन में बैठक नहीं हो पा रही है? बीजेपी कह रही है कि आम आदमी पार्टी हंगामा कर रही है, आप प्रदर्शन कर रहे हैं सड़कों पे उतर के, उधर बीजेपी भी प्रदर्शन कर रही है, वो आप पे आरोप लगा रही है कि आप नहीं होने दे रहे हैं मेयर का चुनाव।
देखिए, ये तो बिल्कुल ही इलॉजिकल, दिस इज टोटली इलॉजिकल आर्गुमेंट. वी हैव अ मेजॉरिटी, व्हाई विल वी डू नॉट वांट अ मेयर इन दिल्ली? It is the Bharatiya Janata Party that does not have a majority, and they need to allow democracy to function in Delhi. How is it possible? Is this Amrit Kal that in the capital of the country we don't have an elected mayor, even though the elections have happened and Aam Aadmi Party has a clear majority?
अब आगे क्या आप लोगों को लगता है कि सुप्रीम कोर्ट से आपको राहत मिल पाएगी? क्योंकि आम आदमी पार्टी के सांसद ये मांग कर रहे हैं कि सुप्रीम कोर्ट की निगरानी में मेयर का चुनाव होना चाहिए। ये तो बहुत बड़ी मांग है, और ऐसे में लगता है कि 2 महीने गुजर गए, अभी तक मेयर नहीं मिला दिल्ली को।
See, that is the last resort. Now we are seeing that under Bharatiya Janata Party, all the institutions are being compromised. Supreme Court is the last resort. This will delay the whole process of Delhi getting a mayor, but there is no other way out. That is the last resort.
ठीक है, आपको हम तस्वीरें भी यहाँ पे दिखा देंगे। देखिए आप, तमाम जो आम आदमी पार्टी के पार्षद हैं वो ज्यादातर यहाँ पे नजर आ रहे हैं, नारेबाजी कर रहे हैं, और इनकी मांग यही है कि मेयर का चुनाव होने दिया जाए। क्या आप लोग यहाँ पे विरोध कर रहे हैं?
हम ये विरोध कर रहे हैं कि भाजपा वाले जो हैं हर बारी हाउस को डिस्टर्ब करते हैं, और ये दिल्ली की जनता को मेयर नहीं दे रहे, और इनकी इतनी ज्यादा तानाशाही बढ़ चुकी है कि ये जो हार है एमसीडी में, जो इनकी हार हुई है, उसको एक्सेप्ट नहीं कर पा रहे। मैं भाजपाइयों को बोलना चाहता हूं कि प्लीज जो दिल्ली वालों ने फैसला लिया उसको एक्सेप्ट करो, नहीं तो आने वाले जो अदर स्टेट में जो चुनाव है उसमें आपको भुगतना पड़ेगा। और जो कल आपने देखा होगा ऑन स्क्रीन, हमारे जो आम आदमी पार्टी के निगम पार्षद थे वो बिल्कुल आराम से बैठे हुए थे, भाजपा ही आगे आए और उन्हें ड्रामेबाजी शुरू कर दी। इनके ये ट्रेनिंग का हिस्सा है, ये इनको एक दिन पहले बताया जाता है कि आपने इस टाइम पे ये करना है, तो ये सारे ट्रेंड है। इनको ये नहीं पता कि इनकी बेवकूफियों के कारण दिल्ली वाले कितना भुगत रहे हैं। मैं एक ही रिक्वेस्ट करूंगा कि भाजपाइयों को कि ये जो हरकतें अब बंद कर दो, नहीं तो जनता जाग चुकी है, आने वाले चुनाव में इसका आपको परिणाम।
लेकिन आम आदमी पार्टी नहीं होने दे रही है मेयर का चुनाव।
Okay, so we have the tutu meme which is on between the BJP and the Aam Aadmi Party as far as the elections for the mayor is concerned. Remember, viewers, it's been called off for the 3rd time. House adjourned again and again. The same scenes were seen yesterday, after which the AAP said they're taking the battle to the Supreme Court of India. And the AAP is alleging that the presiding officer is being controlled by the BJP. Aldermen can't vote, is what the AAP says. The BJP says this is not what the rules say. And the rules, in fact, have been changed. The Aam Aadmi Party says that the BJP has instructed all the councillors to stall MCD mayor polls. Come what may, the polls should not happen, is what is being alleged by Manish Sisodia. These are allegations of the AAP against the BJP and counter-allegations flying thick and fast. The BJP, in fact, has said that AAP has asked its councillors to stall the MCD house. This matter is going to be now heard in a court of law as the Aam Aadmi Party, Milan Sharma, is taking this matter to the court, isn't it?
Well, we'll try and get in a word with the representatives of the Aam Aadmi Party because this has been a recurrent problem now for several days now. There's been no mayoral elections. And sir, क्या आप लोग सुप्रीम कोर्ट में जाने की बात कर रहे हैं? इसको कोर्ट ले जाएंगे इस मामले को आप लोग?
अगर हमें अपने सुप्रीम कोर्ट में लॉ में पूरा कॉन्फिडेंस है और पूरा भरोसा है कि जो ये हरकतें कर रहे हैं इनकी बौखलाहट है, जो इनके हाथ से सत्ता निकल गई एमसीडी की, तो ये बौखला गए हैं। इनको ये बर्दाश्त नहीं हो पा रहा कि दिल्ली वालों ने आम आदमी पार्टी को चुना है क्योंकि इनका सुपड़ा भी साफ होने वाला है।
तो आप एक बात बताइए कि क्या साथ में मिलके आम आदमी पार्टी और बीजेपी साथ में मिलके ये इलेक्शंस नहीं कर सकती है क्या? और क्या पॉइंट है जिस पर आप लोग अभी तक लड़ रहे हैं?
हमारे पास बहुमत का पूरा आंकड़ा है। आप मेरे को बताइए कि हम नहीं चाहेंगे कि इलेक्शन ना हो, हमको चाहेंगे इलेक्शन हो, मेयर दिल्ली वालों को मेयर मिले। इनकी बौखलाहट है और इनकी एक दिन पहले ट्रेनिंग होती है कि तुमने हाउस में क्या करना है, कितने बजे करना है, कैसे करना है। आपने एक चीज नोट की होगी कि कल इनके सांसद भी पूरे नहीं आए, हंसराज हंस जी नहीं आए, गौतम गंभीर जी नहीं आए, 2-3 और जने नहीं आए। तो इनका पहले ही ये ट्रेनिंग दी गई है कि आपने ऐसे
Alright, Sneha, so the problem seems to be that everywhere...
I'll just come back to you for more details on that. Do continue to be with us. Harish Khurana of the BJP is with us. Harish Khurana, when will this crisis end? The AAP says they're going to go to court because BJP has given the councillors specific instructions. Come what may, the house must not function.
I don't understand how come Manish Sisodia got to know what has happened in the interview meeting. So the drama was being scripted in the morning yesterday only. When Manish Sisodia tweeted that the BJP council will do a ruckus in the house. How does he come to know what is happening in the meeting? So the plan was they will do the ruckus, they will create an atmosphere where house will not run, and they will allocate the BJP. People of Delhi are seeing since last 1 month 3 meetings have been happened and nothing has been done. On one day you say nominate council will not take the oath. Next day those councillors take the oath and you create a ruckus on some other issue. On a third day you create another issue. Point is, and next day you go on a court to delay the house proceedings. What do you want to show? They are getting afraid. They are getting afraid that their own council will not switch over from one end to another end. That's the fear what they are living into, and that's the reason this election is not coming, not been happening till date.
Right, Mr. Khurana, we'll also try and get in a word from the AAP on this entire matter, but I'm going to thank you for the moment. We're shifting focus also to Chennai right now. Let's go straight to that. Pictures of L. Victoria Gowri, who's just taken oath as a judge of the Madras High Court, even as the controversy is on this entire matter on whether she is fit to be a judge of a high court or not. Remember, this matter was pending before the Supreme Court of India, and unprecedented developments from today saw Victoria Gowri take oath as a high court judge, even as his plea was being heard in the Supreme Court of India on whether she is fit to be a judge or not, given the kind of comments she's made in the past against a particular religion. That is, hate speech is what the contention was.
Not the least heed to them, moved by these works of concern towards our motherland. I am conscious and fully aware that today I am handed over with the greatest responsibility of being a judge, only to heed to the unheard and oppressed voices of the poorest of the poor, to liberate the marginalized, to settle down the abominable inequalities of the society, and to nurture fraternity in this beautiful, serene, diverse land named India. Today, from this most prestigious dais, with all humility, I undertake to dispense justice in realizing the dreams of the makers of our Constitution. Thank you, one and all. Thank you.
Thank you, Milord.
Blessings. To conclude, I seek the words.
Okay, the matter has in fact was being heard in the Supreme Court and the petition has been dismissed. Lawyer Victoria Gowri has been sworn in as judge at the Madras High Court. Remember, the elevation was mired in the controversy after reports of alleged affiliation to the BJP. Also, the contention in the court really was, the plea was the fact that she had made a hate speech not once but on quite a few occasions. However, the matter has been dismissed in court and the petitions demanding restraining lawyer Victoria Gowri from taking oath as a judge at the Madras High Court. She has taken oath today. In unprecedented developments today, the oath-taking ceremony actually took place when the matter was being heard in the Supreme Court of India.
I undertake to dispense justice in realizing the dreams of the makers of our Constitution. Blessings. To conclude, I seek the words of Swami Vivekananda, who once remarked, the one thing that is the root of all evils in India is the condition of the poor. So long as the millions live in hunger and ignorance, I hold every man a traitor who, having been educated at their expense, pays not the least heed to them. Moved by these words of concern towards our motherland, I am conscious and fully aware that today I am handed over with the greatest responsibility of being a judge, only to heed to the unheard and oppressed voices of the poorest of the poor, to liberate the marginalized, settle down the abominable inequalities of the society, and to nurture fraternity in this beautiful, serene, diverse land named India. Today, from this most prestigious dais, with all humility, I undertake to dispense justice in realizing the dreams of the makers of our Constitution. Thank you.
Anisha Mathur is getting us all of those details. The petitions have been dismissed by the court. But to begin with, Anisha, tell our viewers that this had got nothing to do with the fact that she had a definite political affiliation, that she was a member of the BJP, but the fact that she had made hate speeches in the past. And that really was the contention, isn't it?
Well, yes, Sneha, what has been a very interesting and very unprecedented day in the Supreme Court. Since yesterday, in fact, these petitions had come up. The Chief Justice yesterday agreed to hear them, to list them today. In the morning, we had a lot of chaos in the court regarding who exactly will be hearing the matter. Initially, it was supposed to be before Justice Khanna and Justice Sundresh, but Justice Sundresh, being from the Madras High Court, recused from hearing the matter. Finally, it was heard before the bench of Justices B.R. Gowri and Justice Sanjeev Khanna. What is interesting is that from the outset, Justice Gowri in fact pointed out that there has been a history of judges in the Supreme Court and in the High Courts who have had political affiliations prior to their elevation. In fact, he gave himself as an example, as he also was a member of a political party before he was elevated. However, we need to remember that these petitions had not raised the issue of her political affiliation, but had questioned the eligibility to take oath on the Constitution of India on grounds that the articles that had been written by L.C. Victoria Gowri as a lawyer in 2018 indicated a certain level of hate speech, indicated a mindset that she may not be free and fair, may or not be able to act in a manner that is non-discriminatory against any group or religious affiliation. That is the argument that was raised by senior advocates Raju Ramachandran and Anand Grover before the court. However, the court has very clearly not accepted these arguments. The bench, in fact, said that all of these issues would have been considered by the collegium in the Madras High Court and in the Supreme Court, that it cannot be speculated at this stage that the collegium did not have this information before them, that no one had raised this issue before them. What is also interesting is that the Bar Council of India chairman Manan Mishra was present in the court and in fact told the court that no complaint regarding professional misconduct had ever been filed against LC Victoria Gowri. And what is also very interesting to note is that while this argument was ongoing in the Supreme Court of India, LC Victoria Gowri took oath as Justice LC Victoria Gowri of the Madras High Court. However, what also needs to be pointed out is that the court itself has noted that that since she has only taken oath as an additional judge, when it is time to make her a permanent judge of the High Court, her conduct as a member of the bench will be scrutinized. All these issues could again be taken up at that stage. But for now, the court has very clearly said that these issues of hate speech, of articles written prior, cannot be raised at this stage. And more importantly, on the judicial side, the court cannot consider whether or not the collegium had XYZ information before it. It is to be assumed that all relevant information was in fact placed before the collegium. So this case has raised several very interesting and key questions regarding the functioning and the process involved in the collegium system in the Supreme Court. One, of course, first of course, being what kind of information is actually brought before the collegium, especially since the Chief Justice yesterday in open court had observed that some information had been placed before the collegium after the recommendation had been sent. But for now, Justice Victoria Gowri is in the Madras High Court. Back to you.
Right, Anisha, I'm going to thank you for the moment for getting us all of those details. We'll keep coming back to you for more on those developments. For the moment, it's time for a quick commercial break here. News continues in just a moment.
You are watching India Today.
And I am going to tell you ways to spruce up your home in a sustainable way. It's possible, it's way more affordable, and it's great for the environment. So let's show you how you can make your home more sustainable. Reuse. You can always buy furniture from a thrift market. Get a carpenter to make it look distressed chic. It will help your home to look super international and add an old vintage character to your home. Also, it will help you save the trees from being cut. Go green. If you have a big house, plant some trees around it and do your bit. If you have a small home, nice and cozy one, you can always plant saplings around it. Have a mini garden. As a hobby, you can also try hydroponics. We have the CEO of the hotel to tell you more about it.
Hydroponics is a technology which is without the soil, which means you don't use any soil out there, which also means that whatever you're producing out of that, like the green leafy vegetables, you can actually produce fruits also from there. So this is without the soil, which means that also means there won't be any chemical, no fertilizer, no pesticizer. This is one of the cleanest technology of growing your own vegetables. The beauty of this technology is also that you do not wait for sunlight to come to produce your own vegetables. So the technology what we have right now in the hotel, we are actually growing it in the basement, our basements, in one of the rooms. And this only needs your AC to be maintained at a particular temperature. It's a basic monitoring which is required, and our chefs are super excited now, along with the gardeners, to take this technology to the next level.
So what they have actually started doing here is, they have started using only glass bottles. There are no plastic bottles. In this way, they're trying to save the environment by recycling the glass bottles. What they do first is, they clean the water bottles. They have been used before. The glass water bottles are then filled again with water of 7.42 pH level. And then These bottles are sealed. Upcycle. That does not mean cycling uphill. It simply means reusing the old stuff and making something new and creative out of it. Just like the sapling in this coconut shell.
You are watching India Today.
We have some breaking news coming in. Let's go straight to that. The first Indian Army plane has reached Turkey. Indian Army aircraft has landed in Turkey with aid. Indian Army mobilizes medical teams to earthquake-hit Turkey. Hours after announcement of disaster relief in response to earthquake-hit Turkey, the Indian Army has mobilized a field hospital to provide medical support to the affected people in this region. Agra-based Army Field Hospital has dispatched an 89-member medical team. The medical team comprises of critical care specialist teams to include orthopedic surgical team, general surgical specialist team, medical specialist teams, apart from other medical teams. The teams are equipped with X-ray machines, ventilators, oxygen generation plant, cardiac monitors, associated equipment to establish a 30-bedded medical facility in earthquake-hit Turkey. My colleague Abhishek Bhalla is getting us all of those details. We'll just go across to Abhishek in a moment from now, but these pictures are coming in from Adani, where the first plane has in fact landed. This is with aid and personnel which has in fact landed in Turkey, in Adani in Turkey. The move comes after the government of India declared that India will provide all possible assistance to Turkey, which has been hit badly because of the earthquake. An estimate of over 4,000 people dead in Turkey. With 3 earthquakes in 24 hours, it's devastating to say the least. Our Foreign Affairs Editor Geeta Mohan is with us for the very latest. It's clear India is going to leave no stone unturned to help Turkey, a friend. India has made it clear. And the first batch of aid, Geeta, has reached Turkey, is what we've been given to understand.
Absolutely. The C-17 Indian Air Force aircraft landed in Adana, Turkey, and 50 of the National Disaster Relief and Rescue workers have reached with specially trained dog squads. They need that to sniff whether if there is life under rubble. Drilling machines to take out the rubble, and relief material, medicines, necessary utilities, as also equipment. All of that has reached Turkey, and this is only the first batch, Sneha. There are going to be many more such flights that would reach Turkey, and assistance to Syria as well. Second plane, according to Dr. Jaishankar, the External Affairs Minister of India, has in a tweet has said that the second plane is getting ready for departure. So one has landed and the second one already ready for departure. Turkey, Syria, both badly affected, and India is looking at helping and assistance for both.
Okay, India is looking at assisting countries that have been affected by this earthquake, is what Geeta is telling us. Apart from the kind of aid that has reached Turkey today, also we understand that NDRF search and rescue teams, trained dogs, medical supplies, drilling machines, all the kind of equipment that is required in Turkey has been dispatched, Geeta.
Absolutely. They have been dispatched, 50 of them already there, and the second plane being ready. This is only part of the global effort, Neha. India is not the only country that is sending assistance.